Aboard Flight 1969, service to JetNation Radio.
Look at what a leader this guy is.
Bolt is fighting for his job this year.
This is what quarterbacks are made of.
Doug Middleton get a 50-yard onside kick. How stupid can you possibly be making that much money?
Folks, grab a snack. Let's go to eat a goddamn snack and join Joe Blewett and Glenn Naughton for JetNation Radio.
Hello, everybody, and you are listening to another edition of JetNation Radio, the second edition that's going to be live on YouTube. So do not forget that you can find us there on the JetNation. You just type in JetNation, hit subscribe, and then every time we go live and our show gets posted, it'll get posted to your feed, so you'll get notified every single week. We're going to probably permanently, or definitely the show is going to be permanently moved to Wednesday nights now, Glenn. Whether it's 6 or 7 o'clock, depending when I go to the police academy. Again, I'm going to maybe we'll move it to 7. We'll figure it out. But for right now, we're Wednesdays at 6, at least until the end of January. We have to do it because with the new installments of, the video and going to YouTube and get all the videos ready and, all that stuff for our listeners and our viewers, it takes a little bit more time. Where on Thursday night or Tuesday nights, we'd be really, really rushing to get it out, and then hope, maybe with rushing a good product wouldn't come of it. And also it makes it a hell of a lot easier on Glenn because now he's doing shows from 11 o'clock until 1 o'clock or a little bit after 1 instead of waking up at 1 o'clock and then doing it until 3:30. So makes it easier on Glenn too. So that's always a positive. But Glenn, lots to talk about this week. Jets put out a stinker. But before we get into all of that, thank you to our sponsor, Mile Social, who manages your social media so you can run your business. You can call in. Not as always. This is at a different number this week and last week. The call-in number is now 1-669-900-6833. It's going to ask you for a PIN. When I ask you for that PIN, if you are calling in by phone, it's going to be 989-311-8641 and you're going to have to hit pound again a couple seconds later. If you want to call in via video, I think you can do it through Skype, or if you want to download Zoom on your computer really quick, you just dial 989-311-8641. So, Glenn, before we get into it, how are you doing and what's up?
I'm doing good, Joe. Really liking the new time slot. Like you said, works a whole lot better for me.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be quite as much of a zombie the morning after a show. I know we've talked about it off the air. Sometimes I know we go 1 to 3, but a lot of times by the time we wrap things up on the show, I'm so either aggravated or happy that I'm up till 4:30. 11 to 1 is much, much better than 1 to 3. So excited about that. And kind of, sort of, somewhat excited to talk about the rest of the season. Some good things happening. It doesn't always feel like it because the team isn't very good, but seeing some young guys continue to make some plays and show that they belong. So that's a big plus, but some frustrating stuff going on too, which we'll get into all that.
Yeah, we'll discuss the game mostly, and then next week, the bye week, we'll talk about some other things, where they stand and, the mid-season, or not even mid-season, actually past mid-season, but the bye week MVPs and what we expect and, all of that fun stuff. Obviously, you can find us on Twitter. I'm at JoeRB31. Glenn is on Twitter at AceFan23. Glenn, anything interesting for you come out this week?
Funny enough, I was actually in the middle of a piece on the O-line, which we talked about last week. We'll talk about this week, just a little bit different of an angle. But the JetNation.com forums, always as active as they are, kind of got submarined, and somebody posted a pretty good in-depth, in-detail post doing just that, breaking down the O-line, where they are this year compared to last year, looking at some PFF numbers. So I kind of pumped the brakes on that for me because that's a ton of our traffic comes from our forum members. So I may still put that out, just kind of put a different spin on it. But, man, that O-line, there's some issues there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You can obviously leave us a review too. If you want to go to the podcast app, we are on the same podcast app, which we were happy about because the last show was about 2 hours and 15 minutes. Blog Talk, at least when we did live shows, only let us do 2 hours. So we can actually post a full show there. So we are on the same, app there. So it's easy for everybody to still find us. Please leave us a review. Obviously, I've said it many, many times. If you listen to the show for more than a week or two, I probably said it last week too. It helps us out more than people know. So if you just take 5 minutes of your day, give us, hopefully 5 stars. If not, 4, whatever it may be. Leave us a review. Why we can get better, what you like about that show, all that stuff. We didn't get one this week, but hey, you guys need to step your game up. We had that one just influx of a ton of reviews that 1 week, so I'm not getting too angry yet. But we need to uptick it here, guys. Let's get the reviews going. So this week, Glenn, we fixed last week I had a little bit of clicking. I was clicking my my Mac or my MacBook Pro, and now I figured out how to just tap it, so we're not going to hear as much clicking. We also fixed the video quality, figured out how to get mono snap on my computer, which is going to help the video quality because now I'm not recording off my phone. I'm recording off my computer, so that's always going to help. Yeah, Glenn, weird week for me. A lot going on. I was working from anywhere to midnight shifts to morning shifts. My girlfriend's grandma broke her hip, was at the hospital with her. Ooh. My sister had a baby. I'm an uncle now, so that's a big positive. Really happy about that. But on that same night that I drove to the hospital, my brand new car, my brand new lease, I didn't make the first payment on it yet. Guess what? It got hit and run. So very interesting week for me. Yeah. I guess I backed up into my rear bumper and just left, and my bumper's misplaced. Now I have to go get it fixed tomorrow. So that's going to cost me $400 or $500 on a brand new lease. So I appreciate whoever that douche was who just decided to leave. And I hope you, I hope you get in a car accident. I hope you don't get injured, but I hope your car is totaled. If that can happen some way, you deserve it. I'm sorry. And also, something funny I wasn't going to say, Glenn, we have a sign on my front lawn. We're very we're very strict with how we take care of our lawn, and we put a dead dogs don't poop sign outside by my mailbox. And this lady, I was pulling up from the hospital actually, and she left a rock on my lawn, and it said dogs lives matter. So I actually chased her down the street, threw the rock in her lawn, broke it. Like crazy week. But
wow, a little bit of dog rage, Joe.
Well, no, I ran down the street next to her. I'm like, do you think I want this rock on my lawn? And then she was like, oh, blah, 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 blah. Have you heard about the Rocks program for Highlands? And I'm like, I don't care about your stupid rock program. I threw it and it cracked in half. It was kind of like a perfect ending. I walked down the street and said, I don't care. So, yeah, a lot going on. Usually I don't have a lot, but this week was just out of freaking control. So I guess actually we have a caller on. So I'm going to get to the caller first just so we can not get that out of the way, but I'd rather address that first. Then we'll get into some of our studs and duds and stuff like that. But let me try to unmute this caller, 772, I believe it is. Yes. Caller, what's up?
Hey, boys. What's going on?
Oh, Kyle Fahey. What's up, man?
Oh, wow. Got that on the first guess?
Yeah, I thought you were going to be joining in by video, Kyle. What happened?
I was lazy and didn't want to set up my computer.
All right, so we're not starting off. We're not starting off on the best foot here, Kyle. But no, we appreciate it. We appreciate the call. We haven't heard from you in a couple of weeks. I know you're working at Turn on the Jets and all the stuff you're doing over there. So great job by you. And I don't think your show's put out a show in like 2 weeks. You guys got to step your game up a little bit there. Maybe that's Ben's fault. I don't know what it is, but Kyle,
not allowed to throw anything up there, but I think you can figure it out.
Okay, yeah, because I know when you guys have some audio problems and uploading it usually is Ben Blessington. Hopefully, it's not your fault and you're just saying that because you're on this show. I don't know if he listens or not or if he cares. So, maybe it is your fault, Kyle. We really will never know. But
the world may never know.
Yeah, lots to talk about. I don't know if you've even called in really since the beginning of the season, maybe the first couple of weeks. So is there anything you want to discuss in particular?
The season is going to my worst possible fears. I definitely discussed this before the season started. Mediocrity, veteran quarterback gets just enough done to get us a couple wins, screw us out of a draft pick, and put us in that terrible situation. We're not going to get a great talent, and we're not really going to be able to build anything off of this year. We're going to be in the hunt for the playoffs, and maybe a couple guys will look good. For the most part, we'll just be a below average team. And that's exactly what's happening. So congrats to all the people who, said, oh, let's go for every win possible. And now you see what this team's actually capable of. And now you're backtracking because there's a lot of you. And I really hope you're understanding it now because this is what we all feared.
Glenn, you want to take that one?
Well, listen, I think that, this team has surprised some people by winning 4 of their first 10 games. Looking at how they played last week, I wouldn't be shocked if they don't win, more than 1 the rest of the way. They do have the toughest remaining schedule in terms of strength of schedule in the NFL. So I could easily see them finishing with 4 or 5 wins. I think, I understand the frustration with wanting that high pick, but I've kind of adopted the mentality this offseason, and I've said before, maybe I'm completely wrong, maybe I'm in a state of denial, but I don't care if they win 4 games or if they win 8 games or if they win 9 games. It's still on Mike McCagnon to do whatever it takes to get a quarterback this offseason. I don't want to hear people say, I don't want to have to invest a bunch of draft capital to get a quarterback. If you have a quarterback, you're not going to care that you gave up a few extra picks. You think Eagles fans are crying themselves to sleep right now because they have Carson Wentz and they gave up a king's ransom to get him? If you think your guy is there, you go get him. There are going to be options this year. Now, look what's going on with Buffalo. Tyrod Taylor is a guy that just got benched, despite the fact over the last 2.5 seasons he's got 60 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. He's got a 4-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, just got benched. So there are going to be several options through the draft and free agency to upgrade the quarterback position. And I'm not just in denial about one quarterback or about not getting another quarterback. They got to get 2. Sign one, draft one. Because they clearly, when I say they, really Todd Bowles clearly does not think Christian Hackenberg or Bryce Petty are even good enough to be bad quarterbacks at this point. If that's the case, then cut ties. Bring in multiple QBs. I'll never feel bad or for rooting for this team to win. Not maybe if we're talking like a week 17 game where a loss is the difference between the one or the first or second pick. I'll probably sit back and be like, just lose this one. Who cares? But it's on the GM to find a quarterback. Quarterbacks are found outside the top couple picks every year. And this is a good year, again, really depending on who you listen to in terms of the quarterbacks that are coming out. Listen, I spoke to somebody a couple of years ago when I had the opportunity to go to the Combine. I spoke to a couple of insiders, and that was the year Wentz came out. And they said, no, there's not a single quarterback in this draft worth taking in the first round. Now everyone's saying Carson Wentz is the next big thing. We don't know. Nobody knows. We have our opinions. I can watch Baker Mayfield and say he's too short. I can watch Josh Rosen and say he's not going to be any good. I can look at Josh Allen and say he's too inaccurate, but none of us know. So this isn't to say I don't understand the mentality, the tank mentality. I was the same way years ago. I used to, root for losses in favor of draft position, but it kind of got to the point where it felt weird to turn on the Jets game and root against the Jets. It didn't feel right, so I don't do it. But that's not to say I don't understand those that do it. And like I said, Kyle, this team hasn't gotten to 8 wins yet. They could still finish in the top 10 or 12 and then have the ammo with that extra second-round pick to move up and get into the top 5 or top 3 to just go get a damn quarterback.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Kyle, really quick, just because I understand what Glenn is saying and I understand what you were saying, because obviously if you have the number 1 or 2 pick, you have a whole bunch of options where you don't have to trade up. Okay, you can draft, Mayfield or Jackson or Allen or Rosen or Darnold, whoever it is, right there and then. But at the same time, obviously, there's 2 sides of it where you see these high quarterbacks who are bust, and you see guys like Russell Wilson in the later rounds or Derek Carr. So I understand that from the non-tank crowd as well. And, I'm somewhere in the middle where, if it's the last couple of weeks of the season, the Jets have no shot, which I don't think they have a shot now anyway. I didn't think they had a shot to really begin the season. I'm not going to root for them to win a meaningless game. I would rather root for them. At the same time, I'm not going to root for them to lose either, because I'm sure just like you, Kyle, and even Glenn or anybody, when they're actually in the game, you want them to win, pretty much regardless. But at the same time, if I could choose right now the number 1 pick or the 15th pick and going 7-9, obviously I'll take the number 1 pick. And I don't think the Jets are going to have 8 wins. I think the Jets are probably going to win, just like Glenn said, that the Jets have a really hard schedule, the number 1 hardest. Take that for what it's worth the rest of the year. So they're probably going to get another win or two. That's really about it. But with that, Kyle, I wanted to follow up with, since we did get into the quarterbacks already, which I don't like getting too much into the quarterbacks too quickly. What are you doing? Because there's a lot of talk, now that the Jets, maybe they are, around that 10, 11, 12, 13 range. Maybe these guys, the Rosens and the Darnolds or the Jacksons, whatever preferred order you like them in, and what happens, in the many months coming up to late April when they actually get drafted. We know a lot will change. Are you going to sign a quarterback? Are you signing a Tyrod if he gets free? Are you signing a Kirk Cousins if he's free? A Sam Bradford or maybe a Bridgewater or one of these guys? Or are you going to wait it out and then, try to draft one of these guys because it's a hot, kind of button issue between Jets fans right now?
Well, with the Tyrod news today, it definitely looks like he's going to be a free agent. I personally believe he's a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. I know there are a lot of Bills fans who don't agree with that. I think the stats and just the tape say otherwise. So if he became available, I would definitely be interested in him. Regarding the draft, I think we all could agree that Sam Darnold was probably the best to start the year. But I will say he's regressed a little bit. It doesn't matter because it doesn't look like he's going to come out. I think a lot of sources have basically confirmed that, whether by his choice not wanting to do with the team, or he thinks it's better for his career if he develops a little more, or maybe he just wants to stay in college a little more. He's going to come out. So we're really left with the options of Rosen, who I think currently is the most polished quarterback in this draft class, but isn't comparable at a playmaker status of guys like Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson, who tend to have that it factor when making plays and setting up their offense for bigger plays, line, opening up the run game, etc. So this will all play out as the season goes. I'm going to keep an open mind into it. Obviously, with our cap space, I would like to address issues like pass rusher, cornerback, possibly center, depending on what we do with Leslie Jones on our team that we have to re-sign, like Austin Seferian-Jenkins right now. Deserves to get a contract extension, and I'm going to be about to peak out before the year. But we're going to have to play it by year, because whatever happens through the rest of this year, and including the college football season, is going to heavily and how we talk next. It's kind of a lengthy statement, but that's the answer.
Yeah, Kyle, you're breaking up a little bit, so I don't know if Glenn could hear all that. I heard most of it, so if you want to just scooch over to a window, I heard most of it. Play it by ear, all that stuff. And honestly, even if the Jets and I would say probably Tyrod's right around like the 17 to 20 range for me. Obviously, everybody has different quarterback rankings, but I do agree with you. He's a capable starter that you can go into the playoffs with, and even if you have build a really good team around him, you can go to the Super Bowl with. Now, is that looking too far into the future? Yes, but at the same time, if you can make it to the AFC Championship game with Mark Sanchez, you could probably make it to the Super Bowl with a guy like Tyrod Taylor with that same type of talent on his team. And honestly, if they drafted him and they wanted to stay pat and draft, Lamar Jackson or a Baker Mayfield, or even if, a Darnold falls if he's in the draft, which, he might stay in USC because he might, he's probably going to make a couple more million more dollars if he comes out next year and he improves his stock by playing better. Regardless of who it is, even if you sign a quarterback and you drafted one, I'm not going to be mad. Is any Jets fan going to be mad about the Jets getting a free agent, a big-time free agent, and then letting him play for 3-4 years and developing a first- or second-round quarterback behind him so we actually have answers at the quarterback position going forward for the next 10 years? If you do have a problem with that, you're stupid. I'm sorry. You're dumb. It's just, and if you get mad at it, click off the show, because if you're, the Jets are taking the right approach to the quarterback situation, just like the Packers did with Brett Favre, then I'm sorry. And Aaron Rodgers when they drafted him. But yeah, I know what you're saying, though. If you have the number 1 pick, the number 2 pick, it's easier to get one of those quarterbacks. But we'll see what happens. Stock is going to rise and fall drastically from now until April. There's still so much time between them with pre-draft, interviews and workouts, and still the college season to play, or a decent chunk of it. So we'll see what happens. But Kyle, another question for you, just before we let you go, since we haven't talked to you, the whole entire season or most of the season, just give us some things, like some I guess, like, not like hot topics, but some things that have really impressed you through 10 weeks, and some things that have really disappointed you through 10 weeks of this season. And opposite of, okay, the Jets don't have the number 1 pick right now.
Yeah, well, there goes my number 1 point. In all seriousness, there have been some major bright spots this year. And I know it was looking like a really, really dark year, and we've only won 4 games, so it's not by any means not even a good year. It's a good year for Jets fans, which is sad to say. But there's been major bright spots on offense. Robby Anderson developing as a wide receiver, not only as a deep threat, but as a wide receiver who, in exception to the 1 drop he had this last game, which I think, I want to say that was like first or second this year. He may have dropped 1 in the Oakland game, but he's really been developing his route tree, and he just continues to burn anybody who lines up man-to-man against him. It's really hard to guard him in the NFL. Do I think he's going to be in number 1? No, but that is a guy you need on your team. You look at what the Chiefs have in Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying he is as agile and can be Tyreek Hill, but you got to respect Robby Anderson at the line of scrimmage, and that opens up more for guys like other bright spots like Austin Seferian-Jenkins, who obviously friend of the show, friend of mine, obviously big advocate of his, and no bias here. He's been our best offensive player, in my opinion. I think just the presence he brings to the field, what he's been doing, it's phenomenal. The end zone catches, possibly. I think he definitely deserves to go to the Pro Bowl at this point in the year, and we got more to build on. And, he's not working with a great quarterback, so I would love to see him with a better quarterback right now, because I think he could be at a level with, like, Travis Kelce if he had, like, an Alex Smith. And I know you could say that for a lot of receivers in the NFL, but I think it applies to ASJ very well. And like looking towards the future, there really hasn't been anybody else who I've been really, really impressed with. I mean, Jermaine Kearse has been doing his job well, but I don't know how much he's going to be incorporated into the future with Quincy coming back. And, the offensive line, it's been kind of shaky this year. James Carpenter hasn't performed other year past, I guess. I think the center position has a huge part in that. We've also seen a decrease in play from Brian Winters. I don't think they're great, but he definitely was doing a better job than what he's been doing this year. Same goes for Carpenter. So, in my eyes, and on defense, the young safeties, in my opinion, have been phenomenal for rookies. What they're doing at such a high level already in only their, 9th game, 10th game now. I don't know where we're at exactly, but it really is impressive what rookies have been able to do and step up. And tip of the hat to Todd Bowles and Casey Rogers for preparing those guys for the NFL. It's not easy to be starters week 1 in the NFL. Continue to impress and provide your team at such a young age, and they've been doing it well. Kony Ealy, Muhammad Wilkerson, Leonard Williams, they've all, they started off a little shaky, but I think they've picked it up. We found out that Mo had a broken pinky toe to start the year. I imagine that does affect you as a defensive lineman or any NFL player. So maybe that explains the slow start he had. He got off, like I said, on the slow start. He's trying to pick up a little bit this week, what the whole team did in general. So the defensive line did a phenomenal job. Basically, the young guys back on defense and the front, I want to say all 4 guys up front for the most part, exception to a couple games now and then. And Demario Davis and Deron Lee, they've definitely improved as players. They seem to be working pretty well together. I still see a couple times on film where Deron Lee has been struggling, recognizing some gaps he needs to go in and fill. But for the most part, his mental approach to the game has gotten much faster. I think he's currently at the speed of his athleticism as he is in his mental game, which is something we really didn't see at any other point in his career. And I know it's only been 2 years, but that was a big trend for him so far from year 1 to year 2. Hopefully, Calvin Pryor's situation, or he looks really good 1 year after a really bad year and then struggles again. But he's been doing really well with Mario Davis, who will probably pick the football just based off stats. And if the Jets fans show up at the polls, the defense has a lot of bright spots to summarize. I think there are a lot of guys that we can keep around for the future. Obviously, Adams, May, Lee, Leonard, Kony Ealy, Muhammad Wilkerson. I don't know where Demario Davis stands for the future, just because I don't know the contract off the top of my head. And I know he's like 27 or 28 now, so he's not relatively young. But the defense has been the bright spot of this team, to summarize.
Yeah, and you were breaking up there a little bit again, Kyle Fahey, but I kept you on because you were a fantastic caller and we love talking to you. And if I was to address everything you just said, I'd probably be doing it for about 45 minutes. So I will not do that. But we appreciate the call, and hopefully you can call in the next couple of weeks by video. I know you would enjoy doing that with the AFC East Bros. Yeah. But maybe we'll have you and Kyle on one time together too, if Kyle can co-host, because I know you guys like to go back and forth a little bit. So we appreciate the call.
Yeah.
Like I said, hopefully we talk to you again soon.
Hey, boys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks.
Take care, Kyle. Thanks for calling.
Have a good one. All righty. Okay. Yeah, sorry his audio was a little bit sketchy. Usually it wasn't when he called into the previous show. Maybe it's something to do with the Zoom or something like that. A couple interesting things that he said, and we'll address, Robby Anderson developing underneath. We'll see about that. I don't think he really has as much as people think he has. I think he's okay underneath. I still think he's mostly a vertical threat. Wilkerson, I think, was pretty bad this game again. One tackle for a guy who's making $17, $18 million, Glenn, and there is a play that I have of him loafing again. So, there are plays that people take off, but that will look really bad. Austin Seferian-Jenkins on the level of Kels with Alex Smith. But like I said, I can't address all that stuff. If he said one or two of those things, we would talk about it, but we just do not have enough time because, as well as I do, that studs and duds takes us like an hour sometimes, especially when you have film now to break it down. And as I said to you doing the show recording, when we were talking, I have like 5 or 6 offensive line plays, Glenn. We're not going to discuss every single play, like break it down. Okay, he down blocked. Okay, he reached. Like, we're not going to do stuff like that. But there are 6 plays I have to show how bad this offensive line has been. And this game is the epitome of it. We've seen this multiple games this year. This was probably, if not the worst, one of the worst. Buffalo game was pretty bad too when they played them the first time. There's a couple other games where they were really, really bad. But this game is the epitome of just how bad and inconsistent they have been. It's embarrassing. It really was embarrassing. Like, watching the game, it was just like I could literally almost highlight. Let's say they ran the ball 30 times, something right around there. There was probably 25 of those plays where the running backs had no chance.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go through duds because we just obviously it's a loss. We go to duds first as we do. So give me your number 3 dud of the game, Glenn.
My number 3 dud, I'm going to go with John Morton. As nice of a job as he's done this year, the offense sputtered, and we saw both teams come out after the half, and I was disappointed to see that the Bucs did exactly what I hoped the Jets would do. They came out in a hurry up and tried to get things going, try to get a little bit of momentum going on offense. The Jets were sluggish. They were flat. We saw that the whole game. I didn't like the fact, and I don't know if this is on John Morton or if it's on Josh McCown, but I felt like after that early interception on the deep ball to Robby Anderson, they completely got away from it, and they didn't go back to the deep ball to Robby till late in the game. And, of course, that's when they scored. When you're in a game like that where your offense just can't get anything going, I say at least once per drive, you take a deep shot to your big play receiver and Robby Anderson and give him – that's your best chance to score when you're not moving the ball. Throw it to the guy who runs a 4.37 and all he does is run past people. To shy away from it because of a single interception, I thought that was bad. And then later in the game, and I know I heard Rich Gannon comment on this, and I was thinking the exact same thing. Late in the game, the lack of urgency, which has been a thing the last couple of years, and we in the past have always put it on Chan Gailey. Said, "What is Chan doing here?" maybe it's not Chan Gailey. For some reason, when this team gets in a spot where they need to score late in the game, they're just very lackadaisical. They come up to the line slow. They let the play clock run down, and you watch other NFL teams, and they're up tempo. Let's go. Let's move. We got 2.5 minutes, and we need a couple scores. Jets don't do that. Didn't see it under Gailey. Didn't see it this week under Morton. So, not saying I don't like the hire. Not saying he hasn't done a very nice job with them this year. I really like what he's done. But this particular Sunday, I was surprised that the deep ball went away until it became an absolute necessity and they were desperate. And the lack of urgency on offense bothered me a little bit.
Yeah, and that's a good point, too, because, people will say, oh, well, they use Austin Seferian-Jenkins. Look at it, it's 6 catches, 67 yards, whatever it was. But I'm going to say 5 of those catches came on the last 2 drives, and they're actually using him vertically down the field on posts and things like that, where some of them were risky throws, between 2 defenders that McCown made, obviously, but they were forcing it because they had to. But still, they don't use him vertically enough at all, in my opinion. And I agree with you that Morton has been overall really, really impressive, at least to me, especially what he's doing with this offense. But this game, I agree.
Absolutely.
They lacked urgency. They didn't take deep shots down the field as much as they should have. When you're running a bunch of, whether it be a run or short passes that the Jets like to do, a lot of rubs, screens, that type of stuff. Not a lot of screens, actually. A lot of rubs, a lot of sails, a lot of, smash this game, at least from what I saw. But regardless, change it up a little bit, take some more shots down the field, whether that be with Robby Anderson, whether that be with Austin Seferian-Jenkins. They really didn't change their game plan from the first half to the second half. And, that's why the Jets only scored 10 points. And, they should have actually, I don't know if they should have scored 10, honestly, if the Bucs weren't playing off and stuff like that. But, with that too, Robby Anderson burned Grimes and he was playing 10 yards off of him. So that happens. But on this play too, like little stuff like this, doesn't make sense. And there's not a lot of times where I'll really go and question a coach's call. But when you're looking at a play like this, like this stuff bothers me, especially when that the Bucs linebackers right here, on the edge and whoever it may be, Quan Alexander, these type of guys, they're all really known for speed. Maybe they're not the best linebackers in the NFL, but they're speedy linebackers. Move. They have been able to move for the last multiple years. And on this play, it starts a little bit late, but on this play here, you're seeing it's a counter play. Yep. But it's any counter, any misdirection play that's going to take a little bit to develop, or you see that false step right there to the right to get the defense to try to shift themselves to the left to get a better angle on them. Yes, and you're leaving the guy on the backside of the play unblocked, and he's at the line of scrimmage. What do you think is going to happen when you're running a counter and he's going to crash down? He's going to get him every single time when you have that type of speed that they have. It was a nice tackle, but why are you designing a play like that, and why are you calling that play versus speedy linebackers? Now, if this was versus the Ravens and you're playing a guy like Terrell Suggs, who's a 4.8 type of guy, not too fast, or a Jets with even a Jordan Jenkins, yeah, you know what? This play could work. But when you're playing a guy, I'm not sure who this is, but all their linebackers are speedy. This is just it doesn't make a lot of sense. Slow developing run play, leaving the backside defender unblocked. So that bothered me right there, Glenn. So I agree with you on that. And also with that too, I'm going to bring up a play, and this was from the defense too, and we've talked about this too, with the Jets playing off coverage when they're blitzing or on third down a lot, and it really bothers me at this point. Like I said, the coaches are 15 million times smarter than I do. The more I learn, I actually feel like the dumber I am with football, because there's so much stuff that people have no idea about that go on every single play. But this play, I don't think this is a third down. I have a third down play later in the game, but you're on a blitz call. You have 6 guys rushing, and with any blitz, especially when you're setting 6 guys instead of 5 guys. You can even send 7, 8, whatever you want to, but you're sending 6 guys. The goal is to get there really quick. So you'd think that they would press these corners up close to the receivers, so they didn't have room to quick slant, hitch, drag, whatever it may be. This play, Glenn, here makes no sense. And I know I saw you shaking your head too, so you must be frustrated with these type of play calls as well.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of, because it doesn't make any sense, and every time I see a Jets corner playing off, I can't help but flash back to Todd Bowles' year 1 in Buffalo when he had Darrelle Revis playing off Sammy Watkins all day, and Sammy Watkins had about 300 catches. Now, I don't know if they're kind of taking the approach that if you look at a lot of years, even when they won the Super Bowl, the Patriots, they will often gladly let teams march up and down the field and then tighten up inside the red zone and hold you to field goals. There have been years where the Patriots go to the Super Bowl and they have like the 30th ranked defense in the NFL because the rank is based on yards and not points, and points are really what matters. This could be Todd Bowles just not having faith in his corners. But as you said, if you're gonna send extra bodies to get after the quarterback, why play so far off? You're really setting your defense up to fail there. So it doesn't make a lot of sense. And it could be, maybe they just feel like they have the personnel to shut people down in the red zone, and they're willing to back off and let you. If you want a 10-yard chunk play, you can take it. I'm not sure how much I like that, but it's basically trying to come up with a reason that makes some sense. That's the only thing I could think of, but I'm not a huge fan of it because if you're going to blitz people, try to disrupt the receivers a little bit and give somebody a chance to get to the quarterback. Yeah,
if you're going to blitz somebody, you're going to try to get there within 2-3 seconds. So that's a quick drop by the quarterback. It has to be a quick throw. So you're going to try to press them and take away all the quick type of hitter plays. Like I said, slants, hitches, drags, whatever it may be, quick out, quick in. And on that last play, they're playing almost 10 yards off. And I can understand, okay, maybe if they're not blitzing and you want to play them off and you kind of want to do like the bend but don't break, I understand that. Or even on that play, which I brought up a different play, but on that play, okay, if you're going to play him 10 yards off and maybe you want him to squat and then try to pick off a ball if he's going to get rid of it quick, then I can even understand that. But when you snap the ball and they start backpedaling, you're literally giving the Bucs any type of in-breaking route, any really breaking route that's not a deep vertical route, a post, a comeback, anything like that. Like, yeah, they can take that away, but any route that's a break within 5 to 10 yards, when you're playing 10 yards off and backpedal, you're going to get. So quick read, blitz, whatever it may be. If his hot read is whoever it may be on that last play, Godwin on a quick slant, he's going to have that every single time, and they have quick reads on every single play for blitzes. So what are you trying to do there? Like, it makes no sense. Are you trying to give them a completion? Like, do you like them at the 40-yard line instead of midfield? Like stupid. And this is another one too, Glenn. And this is on third. I believe it's 5 or 6. You can see it's third right there. Or no, it's actually second. Second down, and this is another play just like we saw before. Claiborne at the beginning of the snap is playing what? Almost about 10 yards off. 10 yards off, a little bit. 10 yards off, and the Jets are sending again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys to blitz, and he's playing 10 yards off. What are you doing? He's not jumping on the break. He's backpedaling. How are you ever going to stop them, or how are you ever going to get there on a blitz? If on every single blitz, okay, I can look to my hot receiver and he has a slant because nobody's playing, pressing on him. So what are they trying to do here? So like this stuff that bothers me. Like I said, coaches are 1,000 times smarter than me, but I can figure this stuff out. You don't play off when you're blitzing, and you don't run counter and misdirection plays against speedy linebackers, leaving him unblocked on the backside. You don't do it. So that really frustrated me as well, Glenn, and I agree with you that they are my number 3.
All right.
So moving on to your number 2, Glenn. Let's get to that. Like I said, it's really frustrating to watch this stuff throughout the week, but let's move on from that.
Yeah, my number 2 was Brian Winters. Another bad game for him. We've talked at length about how bad the guards have been this year. This may have been their worst game of the year. The guard, the O-line as a whole. You give up 6 sacks to a team that had 8 on the season coming in. The running backs had no room. I still see Jets fans saying, when they go up and down the roster, things that are wrong with it. And I still see people criticizing the running backs. I don't think there's anything wrong with the running backs. The running backs are fine. You give them a small crease, they're going to make a play. Bilal Powell has shown that he can turn, almost nothing into something. When you're getting hit in the backfield by linebackers with full head of steam because nobody's blocking them, you're not going to have much of a chance. So I put it on the O-line, and Brian Winters, he nearly got Josh McCown killed. And I talked earlier on I joined the guys on No Fly Zone Radio. We talked about this. And I don't know, people want to kill McCagnon for giving Brian Winters that contract, but these are you can't project these things. Brian Winters was drafted having played tackle in college as a developmental guy. You knew he was going to need a couple years. Last year, it looked like he came into his own. He was getting ready to hit free agency, where you're going to have multiple bidders, and he was going to be one of the best guards on the market. So you might have had to pay more than you ended up paying. So you pay the guy. These are the things, this is what I said earlier. If you let Brian Winters go, and he goes somewhere else and plays like he did last year, those are the things that get GMs fired. You know, we had this guy in-house in our roster, and we drafted him, and we developed him. Why weren't we willing to pay him? So you give him the money, and then this year, is it the scheme? That was something that came up. Are we seeing more zone blocking than man blocking than we saw last year? I don't know, but I do know that he looks like a completely different player. As does James Carpenter on the other side, to be honest. But I feel like Winters was the bigger culprit in the beating that Josh McCown took than Carpenter was. And not to say Carpenter was any good, but I feel like Winters was worse.
Yeah, and Glenn, I'll just move on to my number 2, because my number 1 is the offensive line, because it was abysmal. And, you know, we were only going to try to bring up like 10, 15 plays a game, but they were so bad this game, I had to bring up like 5, 6 plays. It was unthinkable, some of the things that they were doing. But my number 2 was the pass rush. And I know the defense overall had a pretty good game, but regardless, even if they, they held them to 15 points, all that stuff. But if I see something really bad on the team, I'm still going to call it out regardless of, 15 points, it couldn't have been that bad. But we were playing Fitzpatrick. They were giving Fitzpatrick all day to throw the ball on multiple plays where he was just standing back pretty in the pocket against a 4 or 5 man rush, so they weren't getting there. So that was really bad from them. 1 sack. The 1 sack they got, Leonard Williams actually got blocked by 2 guys. I think it was a left guard and the left tackle, where he kind of bounced off him, but Fitzpatrick literally ran right into him. Like, he didn't even have to chase him down. He kind of got off the left tackle's block, and Fitzpatrick just sprinted right into him. So, it was sacked still, but regardless, like I said, there's way too much time to throw the ball from Fitzpatrick there. And Glenn, I'm going to share, and I'm going to go to my number 1, and I'll ask you for your – actually, just go – what is your number 1? Is if the offensive line wasn't your number 1, who is your number 1 in this game?
Well, that's the thing. Winters was my 2, and it's another lineman, man. Wesley Johnson. I mean, Wesley Johnson.
Yeah.
I had for the guy. We've talked about how bad he's been all the worst rated center in the NFL, according to PFF. And I don't need PFF to tell me that. I mean, if they want to tell me he's the worst, that's fine. My eyeballs tell me he's been terrible. Whether or not you want to split hairs and say he's better than 4 or 5 guys out of the 37 rated players, fine, have at it. But the bottom line is that guy was just – I wonder how much his poor play has affected the guards, because Winters and Carpenter were absolutely fine last year, whereas Johnson was inconsistent, but he was decent enough. But he has been so bad. And, I mean, I see guys running past him that he's not even quick enough to get a hand on them, let alone block them. He can't even touch them sometimes. So I think if I'm any team planning to play the Jets right now, I'm just going to blitz the hell out of those A gaps, and somebody is going to beat Johnson, and he's going to be running around looking for somebody to block while the quarterback is getting killed.
Yeah, he was abysmal. Like I said, I'm going to bring up a couple plays here. We'll try to we're not going to explain them too in depth about how far the splits are and all that stuff, because we don't want to, like I said, alienate the guys who listen, the thousands of listeners who listen on the podcast app, and that's it. Now, should you watch the YouTube? Yeah, you probably should. But at the same time, if you don't want to, then that's you. But like on this play too, and it wasn't even just, okay, well, they're terrible at blocking and stuff like this, but you just see this edge player right here, and Beachum doesn't block him. Is this a check and release type of play for Tomlinson, where he'll stay in and block him and then release on his route? When McCown takes his 3 to 5 step drop, whatever it is, and get open in the flat. We don't know, because it was just a flat out miscommunication. I don't know if this was, I didn't see the play call. I don't know if this was Tomlinson. I don't know if this was Beachum, but you have a guy who's he's a 5 technique, a little bit wider than a 5 technique. And he just runs free and just sacks Fitz. And it's not even like, okay, well, he was supposed to run free. Or yeah, sorry, McCown. We were playing Fitz. I'm having flashbacks to how much I liked Fitz. But yeah, McCown.
Fitzbacks.
Yeah. But it's not. This isn't a one step drop, a 3-step drop where it's a quick hitter play where you can leave him unblocked to leak out Tomlinson to the flat. It's a play action play, and it's a 5-step drop. It's not like it's a quick hitter. I can understand if this play was a quick hitter and you leave him unblocked, but 5-step drop and you leave a guy unblocked. Bang right there. That was terrible play.
Even if he doesn't get there, Joe, Beachum and Carpenter double team. I don't know if that was McCoy, and he beats both of them. He's right behind them.
Yeah.
Even if anyone picks up that guy off the edge, there's another guy coming right up the gut that got double teamed and walked right through it, and he would have hit him right. He was a split second behind.
Yeah, and there's this player you're talking about, Johnson, right here. And for the most part, at least to my understanding, like I said, I think I know a decent amount, but I really don't know a lot at all. At the same time, there's so much to this. But on this play, you have Wesley Johnson, like I said to the podcast. Just listeners, there's a defensive end or defensive tackle, and nose tackle lines up head up on him as a zero tech. And as soon as this zero tech crosses his face a little bit and goes into Winters' lane or zone, then he should pass that block off and take this linebacker who's blitzing through the A gap, because for a center, the A gap is his primary responsibility. This guy is going in front of Winters' face and trying to go through the B gap at that point. And he's just supposed to check this guy off and then pick up the A gap, because the A gap is his immediate responsibility, because the A gap is the quickest way that anybody's going to get to the quarterback. Obviously, just by physics and, geometry, whatever it may be, around the edge, it's going to take a little bit longer. B gap, whatever, you have to turn a little bit. A gap is the primary responsibility. Wesley Johnson just completely leaves the A gap to block a guy who's going into, the block of Brian Winters here. And, it's not even a sack, but this is stuff that affects the game. And this is a play where you watch it on tape and you're like, oh my, not on tape, but on the broadcast, because you're not really seeing that, because you're seeing the ball get released. And, he misses Austin Seferian-Jenkins a little bit behind him, where he could have led him and probably got a completion for 15, 20 yards, whatever it may be, but he couldn't step into the throw. And there was a guy in his face, so he threw an inaccurate ball. And it tips off Austin Seferian-Jenkins' hands as an incomplete pass. But how are you going to let a guy go right through the A gap and hit Fitzpatrick within what is that, Glenn? Maybe literally a second and a half, a second, like that. That is beyond terrible. So we're talking about that with Wesley Johnson, and you can go into some plays from the offensive line too, where you said Winters was your number one dud of the game, Winters was my number two. Yeah, he was your number two of the game. And this is a play right here. I'm not even sure what happens on this play. I just know I brought up a bunch of plays, but you have a guy who is he's a three. Well, actually, he's really I guess he's a 4-eye. Yeah. A 5 would technically be he would be on the outside shoulder, but the gaps, just so I can explain this to people. This would be a 0 heads up on him. This would be a 2 heads up on him. This is a 4 heads up on him. Outside shoulder right here, that would be a 5. This would be a 4. And since he's on the 4, but he's on the inside shoulder right here, he's a 4-eye. This is a 3 tech right here. This is a 2, a 1, a 2-eye. But so he's a 4-eye. But
when you're on the inside shoulder, the guy across from you, it's the eye.
Yeah, it's the eye. For people who can't see, but yeah. Like I said, get YouTube and you can watch. But yeah, you have McCoy lined up as a 4-eye, and this play, what is Winters even trying to do here? Like I understand that he's throwing his right or his outside arm as a punch arm, but he's like leaning into him, like is he trying to headbutt him before his hand comes in here? Like leaning, terrible footwork, like just lets him completely get by him. His left inside arm is doing absolutely nothing. Like it's just flailing. Like you're gonna block Gerald McCoy with one arm. Like I don't know what he's trying to do here. Initially, where you have to really try to get a strong punch into McCoy's chest to disrupt him, and he's leaning forward, just not a good base, not using his legs. Like that was just terrible for me, and he got beat multiple times this game by McCoy, and we saw it on that play right there.
That looks to me like he's expecting power, but McCoy went with a little finesse. I think Winters is leaning forward there, expecting a more of a head-to-head battle, and McCoy just sidesteps him and pushes him aside and gets around him.
Yeah, and you are right. And he just got, and just in general too, he just got wrecked. And I don't really like the lean on that play too. You never really want to lean. You want to bend at your knees. You want to get your power going through your hips and your knees up through your torso on a straight line. But when you're leaning over by the waist, obviously you're not maximizing your torque on these guys. And let me see. I know I have another one of Winters, and like I said, I had to bring up a couple of plays here because it was just so beyond bad. So we are kind of like not rushing through these plays, but it just here we have a zone lead play where Thomas is going to go and block the strong side linebacker, the Sam right there. And this one too, like look at Wesley Johnson. Like and you have the 90-50-10 rule, like I talked about. A lot of coaches like to talk about that. But when a guy is lined up in the backside of the play, not in the play side gap or over top of you, there's a 10% chance you're going to block him or have responsibility to block him. That's a good rule to go by. And why is he crossing or going to the right away from the play side, blocking this 2-eye technique when Winters is clearly going to take him? Instead, Wesley Johnson should run into the second level and take these, this linebacker, this Mike linebacker right here, but instead he gets too caught up in the block of a guy he's not even supposed to block. He's supposed to help a little bit there, chip him, help Winters get inside leverage on him. He doesn't help him get inside leverage, or he could chip him a little bit, hit him inside, let him get inside leverage. But instead he takes over the block completely. And then look at the Mike linebacker just runs, have a free lane to Powell. How does Powell have any chance on this play right here, Glenn? Like what is Wesley Johnson doing on this play? It literally makes no sense. A zone type running game on this play, at least, that is just beyond a bad mistake. It's not even like, okay, he sucks, he's getting beat, he has bad technique. He's messing up his assignments. So another play we see right here of Wesley Johnson just being probably, and it's funny because I was actually talking to a guy from Pro Football Focus this week. I'm not going to give out names, whatever it may be, but we were talking about how they ranked a sack or not sack by shell. And we talked about Wesley Johnson. He told me he's the 37th out of 37th ranked center that they have. And I don't have Pro Football Focus. I'm not paying hundreds of dollars a month or whatever it is for the subscription. And I disagree with some of the stuff of how they chart stuff, et cetera. But at the same time, and I've said this before, and this backs up what we said, Glenn. We said he was if not the worst center in the league, bottom 3. And by statistics, how they measure it, however they do all of their analytics, he's the worst center in the league. And this is another play right here, just an absolutely blown assignment. I don't know why he's doing what he's doing on this play. It's really bad.
Yeah, one thing we talk about with trying to break down the O-line is that, and we say it all the time, I'm big on not, I'm not going to pretend I know what the call is. I'm not going to pretend I know everyone's assignment. But there are things that's like this play right here. Even if you watch early in the play and say, all right, maybe Winters is supposed to pull and he blows his assignment and doesn't get around Johnson, wouldn't make a lot of sense. But the fact that Winters is still driving behind Johnson and then Johnson lunges toward the linebacker who's going through that gap, to me that's Johnson going, oh damn, like that's my guy, and he comes off of the guy he is blocking, and Winters stays with that guy. So yeah, he basically gets in Brian Winters' way and then tries to regroup and get his guy, and he misses him. Maybe that was Winters' screw up. Maybe he was supposed to come around, but whether he was or not, when I'm looking at the O-line, I try to spend, I try to look at a lot of the head-to-head stuff where the blocker is clearly engaging his guy because we don't know what guys' assignments are. But again, it's that last second lunge where it looks to me like Johnson realizes he doesn't have his guy, and by the time he realizes it, it's too late.
Yeah, but and like obviously, and with breaking down a lot of film too, like there's obviously some plays where like, okay, well, was he really supposed to do this? Was he not supposed to be here? But like, especially the offensive line, if they're all zone blocking, if you can see that they're all zone blocking, and then there's one guy who's not zone blocking and not doing what he's supposed to do, okay, well, if 5-6 guys are doing something and there's one guy who's standing out, if 6 guys have a helmet on somebody and there's one guy watching somebody run past. Well, like I said, with zone blocking, especially in the play side, you're going to take, like I said, 90-50-10. You're going to take the guy in the play side gap next to you. That's 90%. You're going to take him, you're going to stay at the first level for the most of the block, depending on, if he tries to cross your face or, if another guy next to you picks him up, whatever. But like I said, 90 if he's in the play side gap, 50 if he's over top you, 10 if he's not. All those guys follow that rule. But Wesley Johnson, like I said, like you said, cuts off Brian Winters to his guy. And then, has that, oh, shit moment. I'm supposed to block this linebacker. Like, he either completely misread it, he forgot his assignment, whatever it may be. Like, on a power, okay, well, if the guys on the play side are down blocking and then he forgets to pull, and it was pretty clear that they left this Sam Backer free for the pulling guard, where, like, a power blocking or, a pin and pull sweep type of play where on the backside they'll shield their guys from getting out, or like a power, they might get to the second level, whatever it may be. But if all these guys are following a rule of a power play, of a pin and pull sweep, of a zone blocking play, of an isolation play, and then there's the one guy who looks like he's not doing the right thing, you're probably, you probably have a good inkling that he's the guy who screwed up. And on that play, I'm 99.9% sure that was Wesley Johnson's job to do that. So, but like I said, I guess we're not 100% sure, but like I said, 99.9.
It certainly looks that way.
I'm pretty close to knowing. Like this play too. What is Wesley Johnson doing? This is a zone lead where lead comes from obviously being a fullback in the game, which is Thomas, and he's going to take the linebacker right here. It's actually the Mike linebacker. The Mike linebacker. What is Wesley Johnson doing, Glenn? Can you tell? Because I can't tell. I literally have no idea what he's trying to do. Unless this was a wham zone, where a wham zone, the leading blocker, whether it be an H-back or a fullback, he's going to take a defensive tackle, nose tackle, whatever it may be. And they're going to leave him unblocked, and he's going to fill that spot, and the running back get outside, whatever it may be. But this does not look like a wham zone at all. So it's not a wham zone. So who is supposed to be blocking that? It's a one technique. Like Wesley Johnson is supposed to be doing what exactly on this play? Can you tell, Glenn? Because I have no idea. And then subsequently, this defensive tackle runs and tackles Bilal Powell. He has absolutely no shot of getting anywhere.
Again, same thing as the previous play, where you see Wesley Johnson come out of his stance. He looks like he's not really committed to anything, and then he has another. Oh, there goes my guy, and starts chasing him. You're trying to chase a D lineman by chasing him down from. Block of D lineman by chasing him down from behind. James Carpenter clearly blocking the guy who's head up on him. So again, if we're going to assume that Carpenter knows his job, then he's got his guy, and Wesley Johnson is late to get to his guy. Engages initially, but doesn't drive. He does get hit by Carpenter's guy there a little bit, knock him off balance. But again, he
stands in there to check him.
He's kind of getting in the way a little bit.
It looks like a hockey checker. He's standing and trying to get in the way. So I don't know what he's doing here. Again, it's just another play where he just looks like he's completely and then
it looks like he dives on the pile and he gets credit for half tackle.
Yeah. So, and I'm gonna do one more, Glenn. I don't want to spend too much on the offensive line, but I just, like I said, I have to bring some of this stuff up. I said,
right now it's the biggest reason why this team isn't, doesn't have a much better record. It's the O-line.
Yeah, and like I said, if 4 or 5 guys are doing their assignments and it looks like a power and they're down blocking on the play side and a power, and then somebody doesn't pull or, whatever it may be. It's just, it's bad. I'd have to show you a power play to really, or a blown power play is okay. Well, this is what this guy was supposed to do, at least to my understanding of what a power is supposed to be. And all you gotta do is really read books and study some of that stuff. You could tell. And obviously there's a lot of little different things that go into some plays where guys don't do what is drawn up on the script. Okay, cover 3. This corner is going to go into the middle third, or the boundary side third. Like obviously they change stuff up because it's not too bland. Because then teams just get destroyed by guys who are smart like Bill Belichick. But still, like I said. But moving on, Glenn, and I don't even know. Is this the play? Oh, this is the play that me and you were talking about. And go ahead, Glenn, because we talked about this before the show even started.
Yeah, so here's a toss sweep to the outside. Elijah McGuire running to the right, and Brian Winters and Lawrence Thomas are leading to the right, and Brian Winters for some reason seems to run right past his guy, the linebacker, and he tries to block the outside defender with Lawrence Thomas. They try to double team him, leaving the linebacker completely unblocked. He comes in for what I believe is a 2-yard loss. And I watched that play a few times, and I'm thinking, why isn't Brian Thomas getting an angle on that guy, taking him out of the play, let Lawrence Thomas get his guy, and then Elijah McGuire might have a chance to – it's not going to be a big play because you still have some defenders there. But one thing Elijah McGuire does well is, maybe he can cut that back inside if Brian Winters hits his guy. But he decides to go with Lawrence Thomas and double team the outside defender. Made no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah, and it's a toss lead, and it's just like Lawrence Thomas is or Brian Winters supposed to take inside out here, and clearly it's a defensive back. He has no angle here on the defensive back, and he knows Lawrence Thomas is coming. Why does he even attempt to get to him right here when clearly right to his left, literally right in his peripheral vision, he could see this guy. I don't think he's blind in his left eye. He could see this backer coming. Why not try to seal this guy inside or get outside leverage on him and let Powell have an alley to run? And like you said, it's not going to be a big gain unless he can break a couple tackles or get the edge and break one tackle. But at the same time, if he blocks this correctly, this can at least be another 5-6 yards Even if Powell just or if McGuire just takes contact and falls forward, but instead it's a 2-yard loss because Winters is just running with Lawrence Thomas here. Like does he really have an angle here? No. He's supposed to block inside out anyway. So it just beyond bad, some of the things that the offensive line are doing. So sorry we just spent 6 plays there. We didn't break them down too much, but I just had to get a general basis and show people of how bad this offensive line really has been. And listen, like I said, there's a few plays, there's a few drives, there's even a game that they might look good. But overall, when you're good, you have consistency. Any offensive line is going to block well for a play or two a game. You can point that out and say, look, Joe is an asshole. He said that they can't block, so apparently you're supposed to be terrible blockers on every single play. No, they're NFL players. They're going to get leverage. They're going to play well on a couple plays a game. But I guess the best way to say it is when you consistently see inconsistency, they're not good, regardless of the player. Buster Screen, he'll make a play or two, or even have a good game, but then he gets beat consistently. He's not a good player. So it is what it is.
That's the thing in this league, Joe. It's the thing that separates, guys who make it and guys who don't, let alone the difference between good and great. But how many guys do you see as an NFL fan that you see a guy make a few plays, you go, wow, this guy can be a really good player. But if they don't do that consistently, if you're only making a good play, every 10 or 12 plays, you don't stick around. Hell, if you get invited to an NFL training camp, you're an elite athlete. You know what I mean? You're like less than the 1%.
Even if you make it to Division I college, Division I college, you're an elite athlete.
Right. The difference is performing well consistently. And that's why, you're right. Yeah. People would talk to me about, the Jets, how bad the quarterback situation is. And they'd point out some bum quarterback who had a couple of good games. Say, listen, I can go on YouTube and find some awesome Jamarcus Russell highlights if that's what you're looking for. Yeah. If you're looking for highlight reels, Geno Smith has a highlight reel. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean
yes, he does.
Guys can play at a high level consistently. It means they're professional athletes who, on occasion, given the opportunity, it's just been disastrous. And again, I don't know if if they've made major changes from last season, but we've seen Carpenter and Winters go from being 2 of the most reliable guys on the team to 2 of the biggest liabilities. And again, how much of that is the fact that the guy playing in between them is the worst in the NFL?
Yeah, and Carpenter, and he definitely doesn't help, but obviously we've seen it too, Glenn, where we'll see like Carpenter pull to the second level or come off a combo block to the second level and just completely miss his guy too. So, but I do agree with you. Like they wouldn't be as bad if Wesley Johnson, the guy who's the brain of the offensive line, or supposed to be the brain of the offensive line, didn't just consistently shit his pants every single week, because he is a terrible center. And I don't understand why the Jets really haven't taken this opportunity to play Dozier there and try Dozier. He's been a backup center. He's played center at times in the preseason, and we've seen him in camp playing a little bit of backup center. Could he really be any worse than Wesley Johnson at this point?
Yeah, the only thing I can think of with Dakota Dozier, and it's a weird thing, but it's the fact that he's a lefty, and you don't see lefty snappers, and I wonder if they're worried that they'll have a couple of quarterback center exchange, mishaps, because of the fact that a quarterback is not used to getting the ball from that angle. Yeah. But if that's the case, I know it was a different coaching staff, but Dozier has been a backup center. And actually, Todd Bowles' first year, he was the backup center. So under this staff, or with this head coach anyway, they've put him in that spot. And as you said, and as I say, what is the intrigue with Wesley Johnson at this point? What is he doing so well that you can't say, you know what, man, we're going to take a look at somebody else? Right now, he's looking like Colin Baxter. That's kind of the level he's at.
I guess maybe is it that they put a second round tender on him? Is it that they put a second round tender on him and are a little bit embarrassed to bench him or something?
You know what? We've talked about it. A lot of people have talked about it. Todd Bowles does not report to Mike McCagnon. Whatever Mike McCagnon decided to pay Wesley Johnson has nothing to do with Todd Bowles. He's it's his job with the best players out there, and I think that's part of the reason why we're seeing Todd Bowles say Josh McCown's his guy, and that he not only. Sometimes you get these quotes, these canned responses where coaches say, well, right now he's my quarterback, blah, blah, blah. Todd Bowles said, I can't envision a scenario where there would be a need to make a change. Like, he must be able to envision not winning another game this season. You can envision anything. You can envision going undefeated. You can envision going winless. If he doesn't see not winning another game as being a reason to change the quarterback, that's not a good thing. Whether or not he sticks to that remains to be seen. But yeah, as far as Wesley Johnson goes, put in Dakota Dozier, put in, I don't know what Harrison's status is at this point. Seems he's been not a healthy scratch. He's been dinged up on the injury report, and I don't think he's been active yet this year. Yeah,
he looked really bad in preseason too. I'd much rather have Dozier. Because at least like Dozier, like there's times where like, and I know like you'll like message me and they'll bring in an extra offensive lineman and he'll open up a lane and be like, oh, look at Dozier. He was the reason for that Powell run. So
he does it all. He's the man that makes it go.
Glenn's lover, Dakota Dozier. That's the only reason he flies back to the United States to meet up with Dakota Dozier.
I try to stand next to him at training camp.
Yeah. I remember when he passes, and I remember just the love in your eyes for that guy.
When I fainted and you had to catch me, remember that?
Yeah, exactly. But okay, so let's get to the. I guess we'll get to the studs from what was just an absolutely abysmal game. Like this game was reminiscent of the Browns game, which the Jets should have lost versus a team who is 0-9, 0-10 right now. I don't know if they had their bye week already, but an absolutely terrible team. They honestly should have lost that game. Kevin Hogan played that full game. They probably would have. The Dolphins' fourth quarter, just absolutely embarrassing. The Raiders' second half was really, really bad. The first half, they're actually pretty competitive, minus a botched or a dropped punt return that led to their touchdown. This game, the entire game, it was just absolutely embarrassing. This was basically the Browns game 2.0. Because at least the Dolphins game, okay, the first three quarters are playing pretty well. Obviously they slowed down in the third quarter. The first half, wow, they're competitive. It's the second game, young team. They're competitive with the Raiders in the first half, awesome. But the Browns game and this game were the worst games of the year to me, even though the Browns game was a win and people might say, whatever.
This I think was just – this can't happen. You can't go play a team. They're missing their number one receiver, and they're down to Ryan Fitzpatrick. And, again, I know the defense did do a really nice job. But at the same time – the offense, and that's why I put Morton on my list. You can't come out and play the way they did and just 10 points. And let's face it, one of them was a garbage time touchdown. But that doesn't change the fact that it was a garbage time touchdown on a play that works quite frequently. Like just send Robby Anderson on a go route. And again, we didn't see a lot of it after that interception. And I can't help but wonder if that pick is what scared them off and said, we're not going to take any more shots down the field. But I've said it for years. Listen, we're Jets fans. We have seen a lot of bad offense. And I've always been a fan of like, listen, man, if you're not scoring, just heave the ball down the field to your fastest guy. At worst, at worst you don't score. At best, if he makes a play, you're going to put some points on the board. So when the offense is sputtering, give guys like Robby Anderson a chance to make a play.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that too because that one interception by McCown on that Anderson ran a post. That was a really bad interception. But
yeah, it wasn't open at all. It wasn't even close, double teamed.
Yeah. So like I said, we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's get to studs, Glenn, because we've been on the show for about an hour. Didn't even get to studs yet. Studs will be a little bit quicker. But actually, yeah, let's just get to it. Number 3, stud of the game, Glenn. Who was it for you?
He had his ups and downs. All around played a good game. I'm going with Darryl Roberts. Came up with a pick, his first of the year. Again, as we talked about earlier, we see how much these guys are playing off, and you start to wonder how much of it is the scheme and how much of it is the players when they're not playing well. But again, in just being fair and objective, maybe these guys look that bad in practice that Todd Bowles feels the need to back them off. Otherwise, they'll get smoked. Which one it is, we don't know because we're not there. But I think he did about as well as you could hope. And again, came up with that was a huge pick in that spot. Obviously, it was a gimme. It was handed right to him. But listen, just because it hits you in the midst doesn't mean you make the catch. A lot of guys drop those, but he made the play, and that was a big play for them.
Yeah, and I want to bring up actually, 2 plays of him, and the one was a pass interference call that was just abysmal. And listen, like he did make contact with, I think it was Deshaun Jackson, whatever receiver it was, Godwin. I forget exactly who it was, but Lee tipped that ball. But this play,
I couldn't. I didn't know if I was losing my mind.
Here, Glenn, I'll bring that up now.
I went on Twitter and I saw Ray Lucas was like, that was a bullshit call or something like that, and I tweeted out like to everybody. I'm like, am I going crazy? I could have sworn Darren Lee tipped that ball before contact was made.
Yeah, watch it.
That was a touchdown drive, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And
So
it was
right
on
here,
third down.
yeah, yeah, it was 3rd and 10. So
Yeah.
this is the thing, and I understand like they
So
missed.
let's see. Let's
they
slow
missed
this
calls.
down.
So look, yeah, I'll slow it down, and this is exactly what it. And for people who are not watching on YouTube, everybody knows the PI call on Roberts on that. It was a hitch or a curl or a comeback, whatever it was. But this is the thing. You could you see the ball's trajectory right here. You see how it's rotating. After Lee touches it, you could tell it clearly changes. Like, watch, I'll play it so it's a little bit smoother. It clearly changes how it's rotating. So if he tips the ball, Roberts has the right to spear whoever that receiver is right in the back.
The question is though, Joe, and I don't know if we can see it well enough from that angle. Is he making contact before the tip? Because he really is right there.
I don't know. I don't think so. I guess he almost is, or he might it's like right there. But even if that's really ticky tacky, so I didn't like that call.
It is that is close.
But okay, regardless, whatever.
Close,
And listen, and I like Roberts for the most part. I don't think he should be playing whatever it was 65 out of 71 snaps. I don't think he's that good of a player. Now, do I think he's a guy who could be a solid third contributor, third guy on the depth chart, or a guy who is your fourth guy who comes in for maybe 20, 25 plays a game, depending on the situations and how you're playing the game? Yeah, I think that's fine. I think he does. I don't think he's a great player, but he's much better than I thought he would be in terms of what we saw in the preseason and what we saw at camp. Because in camp it was abysmal, and we see him make at least one of these plays. I don't think he's the best in coverage. I think he's okay. Like I said, maybe a depth guy, but these plays you see him make every week. Whether he's filling a lane on the outside or he's making a play in the screen game. But here, it's man-to-man coverage. I think it's Humphreys is running across underneath the coverage in a motion. And it's a screen. It's a wide receiver screen, and there's the right tackle who's running out to Roberts. Roberts hesitates, doesn't panic, doesn't run into the right tackle's block and get taken out of the play. Instead, he avoids the right tackle's block and then dives at the thighs of Humphreys here and makes a really nice play in the open field. He does this a lot. At least in the run game, where I see him make a lot of good plays, or at least a play or two every game in the run game. And this is another example. So I wanted to just bring this up because it was really, really impressive to me. Now, he wasn't in my studs, but at the same time, I can recognize why you did, because I thought he did play pretty well. And this play that you're seeing here, like I said, I explained it for the people who are just listening, but seeing it is better. And this is a really impressive play for a guy who, like I said, maybe he's a third or fourth type corner on your team, on a good team, maybe a fifth, whatever it may be, but still pretty impressive. And then Glenn, let me just bring this up. I'm hoping you're hearing less clicking this show, because actually I'm just tapping now. I have to click a little bit. But
way less.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, like I said, we're going to have some technical difficulties. Not even difficulties. We're going to have to figure some stuff out.
Hiccups.
When I was doing it, I didn't think, okay, we're going to hear 13 billion clicks on this episode. Now it's obviously less unless I have to drag it, or actually have to click it. But what? Oh, this is a big hit by May, and this is my number 3. Obviously, is Marcus May and Jamal Adams, and they only let up one reception, I believe, in all of their coverage snaps. That I don't remember ever seeing them let up another reception. And the reception was I think it was just a stop route from Brait. Where Adams actually tried to get a little bit too physical at the break or the top of the route, and he let up a reception. But here, and this is another play too. We'll talk about Justin Burris. This is a crack block from the wide receiver. Why is he following the receiver inside when he sees a run play? What are you trying to go backside and cut it off? So Burris just makes a bad play there. Like he does almost every time he plays, he's making a really bad play in the run game here. But regardless of this play, I really want to just bring up, because Marcus May just laid this dude out. And he's been an enforcer in the back, and he's been very reliable as a tackler. Now, I don't always love his form, but at the same time, he's in the NFL. And he's due to make a bad play or two. But even Adams will dive at guys' ankles sometimes too much for me. But at the same time, yeah, a lot. You want to either drive their head across the body of the guy they're tackling and drive their legs, or wrap them up, or spin them, whatever it may be, or like the Seahawks way of tackling, like the rugby style, where you're gonna grab a guy by his thighs and you're gonna pull his thighs up into your chest and roll them, or either drive them. And But regardless, whatever. This is a big hit by May. He's been an enforcer. He makes a few mistakes here and there in coverage, which he will because he's a rookie and he's not going to make he's not Ed Reed yet, but he has been very impressive. And this was just another big hit by him, an enforcer type of role. And I just I wanted to highlight it just because I like seeing big hits. I think Glenn, I don't know about you. I guess I'll exit to you, but my favorite position in the NFL is safety. I love safety play. I played safety in high school. I played safety and running back and wide receiver and some corner. And I just love it. Like Brian Dawkins is my favorite player of all time. So I guess just off topic really quick. What is your favorite position to watch in the NFL?
Linebacker. I think a good linebacker is a mix of, can do things that no other guys on the field can do. The combination of speed, power, and size on defense. A good linebacker. And, one of my first, real favorite players as a kid was Mo Lewis. You know what I mean? And that guy, such an underrated player throughout his career. He played on some really bad defenses and had some really good seasons. And yeah, when you get that guy who can do it all, not a pass rush specialist and not a guy who just plays well against the run, but when you get the guy who can do it all, who has the the size, speed, power to shut down the run and either seal off the edge or to get past the blocker and get to the quarterback, a complete linebacker to me is the most fun football player to watch.
Yeah, I always had like the big hitting linebackers, like the Brian Urlacher when I was growing up and that type of stuff. Even like Willis recently, he retired. What was that, a year or two ago? Whatever it was, he was an awesome player to watch. And on this play that I'm bringing up, the Bucs are just running an outside zone to the boundary side of the field to the strong side where they have an extra tight end. And Josh Martin actually on this play forces O.J. Howard.
He does a nice job here. I remember this play.
Yeah, he forces him back. So his initial read to the outside where he is reading with an outside zone, you're either going to read the C or the D gap. That's where you're most likely going to go, even the E gap, depending if you have an extra guy in there or two extra guys in there actually. But on this play, he's reading the outside. He's going to read Martin. Martin blows it up where he pushes him into the lane that Josh Martin is pushing O.J. Howard into the lane that Doug Martin is going to run into. I don't want to say too many Martins to get people confused. Forces him back inside, but the really impressive part about this play, other than Martin, was the fact that Adams, who is the backside of the play contained player, crashes down here, tracks Martin down from behind and tackles him. Some really nice burst here and nice effort from Adams. So I want to bring that up. And this is the type of plays where Adams, you're seeing more plays with him in terms of the run game, filling the right gaps, holding the backside, even though sometimes on backside contain, he does get a little bit antsy and try to go to the play side. They'll cut it back and get some extra yards. But like I said, regardless, the thing with Adams that we've talked about is that Adams is a guy who is learning, 4 or 5 positions, Glenn. And that's not an excuse for him. If people have listened to the show, like I said, a couple, hour ago, whatever it was, if people listen to the show, we're not the type of people who are going to just, okay, well, he's on the Jets. He's a really good player. Okay, the Jets got Robinson. He's a really good corner. He's we're not those type of people. We're never going to do that. So if Adams was playing bad, just like Pryor played bad, just like Lee was playing bad in the beginning of the season and even in his rookie year, we'll call people out. But, Jamal Adams, he's learning to be an edge player. He's learning to blitz. He's learning to play slot corner. He's learning to play free safety deep. He's learning to play strong safety and be a force player on the edge. He's learning to be a robber. He's learning to play, a deep coverage in a cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, cover 6, whatever it may be. So he's been really impressive. But like I said, we've seen him more show up in the run game. The pass game, he's having a little bit more hiccups than in the run game. But like I said, I think he's going to be an all-pro or at least an all-pro or a Pro Bowl type of player. Even though I don't really, kind of hold Pro Bowls to a really high standard because I think it's a bunch of popularity vote. But regardless, and this is another play from Jamal Adams where the Bucs are running a sweep to the strong side of the formation, and that is the boundary side of the field and the sweep play. And Jamal Adams, which is weird because you actually see this pulling, it's the pulling center. The pulling center, I'm not necessarily like he might have had a backside linebacker or actually the strong side linebacker. That might be his
Ali Marpet.
Yeah, okay. So this is Ali Marpet. He was drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round, Glenn?
First.
Oh, end of the 1st, right?
He was that guy that like no one was talking about at all going into the combine, and then he went in and he ran like the fastest 40 of any lineman by quite a bit, if I recall. And like all of a sudden people fell in love with him. I think he actually played high school football at the my high school rivals school, really small school. We're talking like 70, 80 kids in a graduating class. Someone told me that. I meant to look that up, but yeah, I think he's a New York guy and drafted as a tackle.
Yeah, and on this play too, like for zone plays, like zone, okay, you're going to block the guy who comes into your zone. That's is what it is. You kind of all move on a chain, and there is like some variations of it where you can have a power zone, where you can have a zone play, then one guy is a power type player to either kick out a guy, an edge defender, or seal a guy inside, whatever it may be. Obviously, there's a lot of variations, but this is a sweep, so this is like a man-to-man blocking play. The guys have designated guys they're going to block. At least for the most part, and Ali Marpet, is that how you say his name, Glenn?
Yep.
I'm not sure why he like Lee might be his initial read here where he has to block him, but when Lee is really nowhere close to the play, I'm not sure why he doesn't continue to run up field and block Adams, because that could have been a huge gain. So I don't know why he turns in there. It really didn't make any sense to me watching this play. That's not why we're reviewing it. It's just the fact that Adams made another open field nice tackle, even though this is what we talk about where he dives at ankles too much. Like here he's only wrapping up really a leg of Martin and driving his shoulder into it, so that's why he falls down. But there's guys who are going to hurdle you. There's running backs who have thick trunks. Guys like a classic like Maurice Jones-Drew, low to the ground type of guy. Where you're diving at his ankles, he's going to just truck you over, or it's not going to bring him down. Marshawn Lynch, like this is not going to bring down Marshawn Lynch.
Right.
But here, regardless, like I said, he still makes these tackles in the open field, and it's a good play because he's filling his gap and he's filling in, and he's making a really nice play here. So it's not a negative play from Adams. I just kind of wanted to highlight that, but. For him to be patient, wait for the hole to open up, wait for Martin to come through it and make an open field tackle. Where if he doesn't make this tackle, this is a 45-yard touchdown wherever they lined it up or hiked it from, a 44-yard touchdown. So this is a game saving, or maybe it wasn't. I actually see May coming from the backside of the play, but still would have been a much bigger play if Adams didn't come in here. So like I said, this is where you see Adams coming in and making big plays in the run game throughout the game consistently, where there will be a play or two where he'll mess up, but regardless, it happens to everybody. Okay, moving on, Glenn. And Adams had 5 solo tackles and, solo tackles in that situation. One-on-one type of deal there. Marcus May had 4 solo tackles. I showed you one of his solo tackles in the open field on that toss play. So let's move on to our number 2s. Like I said, your number 3 was Roberts. Mine was Adams and May, the rookie safety tandem. Number 2, Glenn, who was yours?
My number 2, as always, our most underappreciated player. I think this guy's just the best player on the team that nobody talks about, Steve McLendon. Mm-hmm. Another strong effort from him. They held the Bucs, I think, or Doug Martin anyway, to 2 yards a carry. McLendon's a huge part of why that happens, and he's just stellar. Every week the guy does his job, does it really well, and no one ever talks about him because he shuts his mouth. He's not a showboater. He doesn't get a ton of sacks, but he does the dirty work and he does it well. And again, just another really good performance from him. I try to be conscious of not picking him too often because I feel like it just gets to be like, oh, Glenn just picks this guy every week. The guy plays well every week. If he stopped playing well, I'll stop picking him. But I feel like I mention him a lot, and I feel like he deserves it.
Yeah, and I'll just give away my number 2. My number 2 of this game was actually Leonard Williams, 3 tackles, 1 sack. McLendon was my number 1 with 3 tackles. And 3 tackles, that's not that good of a game. But and there was so much more plays. I can probably bring up 4 or 5 more plays of McLendon just making plays, even if he didn't get on the stat sheet. And this is both Leonard Williams and him. So this is kind of both of them where you see Leonard Williams, he's lining up as a 3 technique right here, and he's just extending his guy to the left guard to get his hands off of him and make some distance, and he pulls him. Really nice.
By the way, Marpet was a 2nd rounder. My mistake.
You know what? God damn it, Glenn! You're making me look stupid here. I knew. No, I'm just kidding. But
you do that all by yourself. Come on.
You know what? And I can't believe how wrong you were about Martin. Martin averaged 1.9 yards per carry, not 2. Glenn, get your crap together. Come on, man.
Did he really?
Yeah, it was I think it was 21 for 50. No, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I hope I'm not wrong about that. I thought it was. Maybe minus 1 run. I'm going to have to bring that up on my computer because now I think I'm going to be wrong. I'm going to look like a real asshole. But in this play, like I said, you see Leonard Williams extend his arms, doesn't let
He averaged 2.5 a carry.
Oh, then there's somewhere in my stats where it was under 1.9. I think after 1 play, whatever it was. I'll bring it up. like I said, you see Leonard Williams as a 3-tech. He extends his arm, doesn't let the left guard get hands on him or good position, rips him. But he doesn't make the tackle here. But it's just plays like you see, okay, well, he made a nice play, made a nice move on the guy, but he didn't get on the stat sheet. So that's a nice play by him. But really, this is more of a highlight of McLendon, who's a 0-tech on this play, and just right off the ball, just explodes nice and low, gets into the center's chest, just completely extends him, makes him off balance. And like you can see, the center is just completely off balance. And then Doug Martin, I believe it's Doug Martin, cuts the run back, and he just shoves him out of the way. Like that is just power right there.
Yep.
Now, do I think he's a Vince Wilfork, 330-pound guy who's a really good 2-gapper, who's going to eat up multiple blocks and free up guys on the outside? No, I think he's more of a guy who's going to try to get up the field. Maybe even more of I think he's more, if I had to categorize him, I think he's more of a 3-tech type of guy like Leonard Williams and Wilkerson, or even a defensive tackle in a 4-3 where he's just going to penetrate and he's responsible for one gap more than a 2-gapping nose tackle in a 3-4. But regardless, like I said, you just see him here, just pure power at the beginning of the play, gets nice and low, extends his arms, gets the center off balance, and just tosses him around like a freaking high schooler to make the tackle. I don't know if he got a half tackle or wherever it was on here, but really impressive play from McLendon and Leonard Williams here, who doesn't get on the stat sheet. But
yeah, like I said, good player, man, lunch pail type guy. He doesn't get a lot of love because he doesn't get a lot of the sexy numbers, but he's a good player.
Yeah, I'm just going to show one more, and then we're going to move on a little bit quicker going, because we'll get through the positives and negatives. I won't have as many plays, but I feel like where the show is going is we're going to have a lot of these plays from the studs and duds, because that's what we talk about for a decent amount of the show. And on this play, McLendon, who's a 1 technique, and again, he actually gets a combo block here, and this is an inside zone. Like I said, inside zone last week. Martin's first read, it's an inside zone actually to the weak side of the formation. And Martin's first reads are going to be the A and B gap. On the A and B gap, so this is what McLendon does. This is a veteran savvy move where you can see he's reading McLendon right there. So McLendon flashes his helmet inside of the play side A gap. So Martin cuts it back, and then look at that. Just nice. He just swims him, and Martin runs right into his arms. Like, that is a beautiful play. Flashes his helmet to the play side A gap. Martin has to cut back into the other A gap on the right side of the center, and McLendon just destroys the center with a swim move, and is just right there, just waiting for him, even after a combo block. So he has been – and, Glenn, this is something that we talked about even before this season, that we thought that he was better than people are giving him credit for. Now, does he necessarily fit the scheme in the best, 0-tech, like I said, 2-gapping type of guy? No. But when he can make plays, and this is another play that he made, and it was another beautiful play from McLendon here.
Yep, like, just gotta like what he brings. I think he's been even better this year than he than he was last year when we spoke pretty highly of him. So I love the fact he's not a big mouth guy. He handles himself like a professional. You hear him in post game interviews. He's not an excuse maker. Owns up when the team doesn't play well. Just the type of guy. A lot of people were talking about the purge this offseason when guys were getting cut, and I said, "Oh, cut McLendon. What do you have? 2 sacks last year?" And it's like, look, it's not just about that. It's not just about sacks for these interior guys. He does his job well, and if you're going to have a locker room full of young guys, he's the type of guy that I want people watching. Yeah,
exactly. And Snacks Harrison with the Jets and on the Giants, he's not a guy who's going to get, what does he have, like a sack or 2 on his career, maybe 3 now. I don't really know. But somewhere right around there.
How about the chokehold on Mo Wilk there?
I didn't even look at that.
Watch this.
Where is Wilk? He's a 3-tech. It's him right there, right?
Watch him.
Yeah, he gets held.
No, watch.
Hey, that's what we feel like doing to him some weeks, Glenn. Even though we're not 300 pounds, so we can't do it. This is what me and Glenn think about every single week when Mo Wilkerson is loafing on a play. This is what we want to do to him, but we don't have the capabilities to do to him.
I have no desire to physically harm any Jets player.
Yeah, let me say that. He actually looks like he's getting held even previous to that point. But regardless, we've talked about, and like you said too, I think he has been better than he was last year. Snacks Harrison doesn't get a bunch of sacks, but this is the stuff that if you watch film, that he's a pretty good player, and especially this year too, he's making a ton of plays. Even though people look at the stat sheet, 3 tackles, but if you really want to contest it, I'll send you 3 more plays I didn't show on the film right now, and tell me why he's not a good player. So we'll see. But Glenn, moving on to your number one, let's get to that. Who is your number one?
Listen, it was a terrible game all around, 15-10. But I'm going to go with Robby. Another 80 yards, another touchdown. I think if with better quarterback play, he had a chance that the ball, the non-touchdown early on where he went out of bounds, that could have been a touchdown catch if McCown didn't get so much air under it, if he got it to him quicker. So, big score for him. And let's face it, Kyle said earlier, and I know a lot of people say he can't be a number one. I mean, with quality quarterback play, he's going to put up the numbers that a number one puts up. So whether you want to call him a number one or not, if the guy ends up with 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns, call him whatever number you want. But he's going to produce if you get him a quarterback. And, you talked earlier about how maybe people are overblowing the fact that he has improved his route tree. I wouldn't want to overblow it, but just the fact that we're seeing him run some routes across the middle of the field, just adding a little bit of a change up to his repertoire, just to give defenders 1 or 2 little things to think about. So it's not all just deep routes and 9 routes. So I like that. He's far from polished, but the guy just gets open.
Yeah, and he did have that drop. It was actually on a crease concept where he's running.
He did. That was a catchable ball, but it happens.
Yeah. And like I said, it's a crease concept where he's the outside receiver. He's the outside receiver, and he's running a deeper dig, and he just drops the ball. But I wasn't going to bring this play up, but since you mentioned, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. But yeah, he gets Grimes vertically here, and McCown just puts too much air under this ball. Where if he throws it on a rope and throws a little bit more of a line drive, and doesn't throw it too far, he has a nearby
steps on him.
Yeah, he has a step and a half, 2 steps, 2 yards on him here. That's an easy. If he throws it on the rope, if that's a good quarterback, that's a touchdown right there, and he has 2 touchdowns at the end of the game. So yeah, he missed them on that play. So that's a good point, Glenn. And I guess I can just, since we're talking about Robby Anderson, I'll just get some of these plays out of the way. And then this was the play where on the 9 route, and we don't really have to talk about it that much. It's just a 9 route. He just beats him at pure speed here, but this is what Robby does. And like I said, I think he does have to develop his underneath game where he runs some rounded routes. He doesn't really create a lot of separation, at least with his route running ability. Now he does. There's plays where he'll run a dig route, and the cornerback or whoever it may be is respecting his deep speed so much where they're playing off of him, where he'll cut back. He'll get a catch underneath, but in terms of the actual route running portion of it, I don't think he's really that great of a route runner, other than the 9 routes and stuff like that. But he has developed a little bit in that space, and also going up for contested balls and fighting off guys and making contact with catches, like that kind of stuff. Like I think he still has to develop on. But overall, did I even bring the play up? I don't know. Yeah, I did. Is it up? Is the play up on the screen right now, Glenn?
Yep. Okay,
making sure. I don't have a little green box around it like it usually does when it's sharing. But, yeah, he had a positive game, 4 receptions, 85 yards, 1 touchdown. Could have been 5 receptions for, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. But we've said this for the last couple of weeks. It seems like almost every single week, at least like through like the last half of the season, he's doing this and he's getting these type of touchdowns. So, yeah, I'll agree that he wasn't in my list probably just because of that drop, and maybe that's a little bit unfair. But regardless, really impressive game from him. Glenn, now let's get into let's do positives of since we're already talking about positives. We'll do positives of the offense. Anything from the offense you want to point out other than what we've already talked about?
We've talked about Austin Seferian-Jenkins, and I think I mentioned this last week. It's a positive and a negative, all wrapped into one. He's playing well when given the opportunity, but, let's stretch it out with him a little bit more. I feel like every time they're going to him, it's within 10, 15 yards of the line of scrimmage. I think he's got a good enough, size, speed combo that you can create some mismatches and send him down the field a little bit more. But on offense, no, we talked earlier, you mentioned PFF saying Brandon Shell, they didn't credit him with that sack. We talked about that a little bit. I'm a little bit torn. I feel like McCown's drop was pretty deep, but at the same time, the edge rusher got around him pretty effortlessly. But part of that is, and I think I'd said to you, if a quarterback's drop is that deep, it's basically a race, a 10-yard sprint, and a 210-pound or 240-pound linebacker is going to beat a 300-pound lineman any day. But outside of that play, Shell wasn't that bad. He had another solid all-around day against the pass. He's got to improve his run blocking, though. I mean, but let's face it, this entire line has to improve their run blocking.
Yeah, and the thing with that play, and this is why I argued a little bit, because it is a shotgun, and then McCown takes his drop back from the shotgun. And a lot of times, like it's not like McCown like retreated from his drop back where he took his drop back, then he ran back 5 yards.
Right.
Like a lot of times what they do in practice with offensive linemen, or at least from what I know and what I've seen, what I've read, all this stuff when I played, they'll take a cone and they'll block around that cone on a given play. Okay, well this is the zone that he's going to throw from. So if he takes a shotgun snap and then he drops back 3-5 steps and he's still in that area. Okay, well, he was supposed to be there. So you have to whether it be instead of taking he took a 45-degree set where he's setting 45 degrees, maybe he takes more of a vertical set and tries to, gain an advantage there, then, whatever. But like I said, he was supposed to throw from that area. So it's not like I said, it's not like he was scrambling around, running around, and then he let up a sack. It was relatively quick. It was where McCown was around the area.
Got there. The guy still got there super fast.
Exactly. So, like I said to you when we were messaging, it was like a 50-50 play where, it was a little bit deep at the same time. He was supposed to throw from there, et cetera. But won't bring that up just because it's already 7:40. I think we started at 6:10. But regardless. Okay, so let's move on from that, Glenn. Austin Seferian-Jenkins, we talked about it before. 6 receptions, 67 yards. Maybe we talked about it before. I think it was before maybe the show started. But, yeah, they got to use him vertically more. A lot of that came on the last 2 drives of the game where they were starting to use him on post and McCown was starting to throw some risky balls. But they're using him too much short, where I think he has an advantage on linebackers going deep, or even, safeties like you hear all the time. Okay, well, he's too fast for linebackers, but he's too big for safeties. I don't think they're using him enough vertically. So that bothers me a little bit. And then we talked about Shell overall, who I also thought was a positive. Other than that one play, run blocking definitely does have to improve, but I think you probably look at the best offensive lineman on this team this game, which isn't saying too much, but at the same time, he's a young guy who's developing. Glenn, let's move on. Positives from the defense. Anything you want to point out from the defense?
I mean, listen, they gave up 15 points. It's not the worst day. And as we said earlier, on that Bucs touchdown drive, that was it was a penalty that kept that drive alive. That was questionable at best. So, you have a situation where you can't really they gave up the score. They gave up the score, but in all reality, if the refs don't throw that ticky-tack flag, the defense gave up 9 points on the day. That's good. I don't care if it's Ryan Fitzpatrick, a quarterback, or Johnny Manziel. You hold an NFL team to 9 points, you had a good day. So all in all, they were good. Again, they weren't perfect, but a pass rush would have been nice. We've talked in the past, obviously, about how Fitz gets rid of the ball so quickly. But as you mentioned earlier, even when he didn't get the ball out quick this week, the pressure wasn't there.
Yeah, that's where you saw Deshaun Jackson get a decent amount of his catches. It was on crossing routes and stuff like that, where it took a little bit of time to develop. But Fitzpatrick just had so much time to throw the ball. Now for the other positives, Kony Ealy. I want to read a little stat, and I don't know why he doesn't play enough. He doesn't play as much as I think he should play. But this year, and I think we'll go over that in a little bit. I think that's in my notes a little bit farther down. But 9 pass deflections on 333 snaps. He's leading the NFL right now. Just to go over some of the previous leaders in previous seasons. 2013, Michael Johnson had 7 and 922 snaps, led the league. 2014, J.J. Watt had 10 and 1,069 snaps. JPP in 2015 had 6 and 511 snaps, and last year Carlos Dunlap had 13, 840 snaps. So to have 9 and 333 snaps is really impressive. Honestly, at this point, if he played more, I think he might be the Jets' best pass rusher at this point. He's not always making plays, but I think he gets there.
Yeah, that was one of the frustrating things early on in that game. He could have had 2 sacks, I think, in the first quarter. Really early on, he got the Fitz a couple times and let him slip away. So that was part of the frustrating part of that game, is that they weren't getting to Fitz, and the couple times they did, twice it was Ealy and he didn't wrap them up. So good effort from him, another good game, but could have been a really outstanding one if he picks up a couple of sacks.
Yeah, I think it's the first drive, right? He comes in, and then he misses them on an arm tackle. And then the second one was maybe it was on the second or third drive, but I think that's when Adams tackles Fitz in the open field, and Ealy comes in and he beats his man, and Fitzpatrick kind of just sidesteps him and runs almost for a first down, but Adams stopped him, thank God. But other than that, Demario Davis, I think he was okay. He had a nice pass deflection, he had a nice play in coverage down the middle of the field. The pass deflection was really nice where he keeps his eyes in the back of the field. He actually tried to cross a couple of offensive linemen's face to get their attention and let Adams blitz, I believe, through the B gap. I think it was the B gap or maybe the C gap. But overall, I think he's been okay. This game wasn't his prettiest, but I still think he's worth pointing out. Other than, and this is probably the only reason why he didn't. I think this is why he got a relatively low grade, and people said he didn't play too well. And this was a bad play that I'm gonna bring up from him. That I noticed, and I don't really know what he's trying to do here, but he's in man coverage on the running back. I think this is Sims. Is it Sims? I don't know which running back this is, but let me move this down a little bit. He just has Sims on an arrow route into the flat. You can, some people call it a flat route, but I think it's a little bit more flattened out. It's a flat route. This is an arrow route to me, but people have different terminology. But this is an arrow route to me. I don't know why initially when he has man coverage on him, he's coming inside like that. Like, is he trying to, mess up Fitz and mess up his progressions or scare him, do whatever. But if he's going to kind of try to fake a blitz, then he needs to play with more on the outside so he has time to recover. If the running back was to run a route into the flat, which he did here. So this is a bad play from Demario Davis where he gets beat for an easy touchdown. But other than that, I think he had a relatively solid game. So he gets, I guess a shout out on defense. I think he was okay, but this was a pretty bad play. With saying that, I think Jenkins was okay this game. He had 2 tackles, was physical, was a force player in the run game. We talked about Josh Martin before. He only had 2 tackles, but that one play we brought up before, he messed up Martin's read because he blew O.J. Howard a little bit farther back into the backfield than it was originally designed, making Martin cut back and got tackled by, I think it was Jamal Adams on that play. Okay. I messed up on that Doug Martin thing, Glenn. Yeah, 20 for 51. I'm an ass. I'll admit it. I'll wear the ass hat. It's okay. I can admit it.
Yep.
I think it's with Powell. Watch. You're gonna see the stat. I'm gonna bring up about Powell a little bit. I think that's where I confused myself. Glenn, moving on from the positives from the offense and the defense, let's get into the negatives of the offense. Thoughts on that?
I mean, tempo. As I said earlier, that was the frustrating thing, is that when they come out and play as poorly as they did in that first half, to not come out in the second half and try to get things going, and to see the Bucs do it and the Jets not, it was kind of like I said, it was frustrating. But abandoning the deep ball, as I mentioned earlier, wasn't a big fan of that. And you can't say enough about how bad the run blocking was. That kind of killed them all day. And just you put up 15 points, and one of them. Is it still garbage time if you're within a score and a minute and a half to go? It's not like it was a touchdown when it was 41-0. The Bucs still clearly weren't just sitting back and letting them score. So it was nice that they got a late score, but at the same time, not enough urgency and not enough shots down the field for my liking.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. We talked about it before. I think this is probably one of McCown's worst games. And even though there was a couple of inaccurate balls, there was some times where people were getting, bull rushed back into the backfield.
Yeah, he was tough day for him. He was getting killed. Yeah,
so it was a tough day in terms of the pass blocking. I still don't think this was his best game. 23 for 39, 262 yards. A lot of that came in the last 2 drives of the game. We talked about the interception to Grimes, where they're in zone coverage, I believe, and Grimes is literally playing 10 yards off at the snap of the ball. When McCown decides to throw the ball to Anderson on a post, Grimes he's like 3-4 yards off still. So why are you throwing that ball? It's not like he's even with them where you could throw the ball, okay, see if he can get it. He has 3-4 yards off of the ball. So that was really bad from him there. We got intercepted on the post route. There's also a play during the game too, which I put it in the film review if people want to go check that out on my Twitter, where it's a classic Aaron Rodgers play where you see either the team trying to substitute somebody, snaps the ball, gets a free play, or they jump off sides, free play, so he chucks the ball down the field. Brady does that a lot too. There's a play where the edge defender jumps off sides, and McCown, instead of taking a deep shot down the field, he runs and scrambles for a yard instead of trying to take a shot down the field. So little stuff like that where he has to recognize, which I didn't really like from him there. So other than that, this is the stat that I was talking about before. The offensive line, this led to Powell 10 rushes for 30 yards. Was absolutely abysmal. And if you take away that long run, Glenn, for 21 yards, he had
9 for 9
rushes. 9 for 9, a yard per carry minus that one run.
21-yard run.
That is beyond bad, a yard per carry. We also
and the penalties. We haven't even talked about the penalties.
Well, Winters gave up 2 sacks to McCoy, and then he also gave up because he got beat right across his face by McCoy again. He got a holding call. So he's been bad. But yeah, penalties, what are they, like 8 or 7 for like 70 yards, something like that? But the penalties have to stop with this team too.
Yeah, it's gotten out of control. I've said in the past, I know most people get on the coaches for that, but, my feeling on that is that these are grown men, as young as this team is. Even if you're 22, 23 years old, you've probably been playing this game for 13, 14 years. You know what a penalty is. You know what a hold is. You know not to do it. It is an overall lack of discipline. But, some things have to be on the players, man. And you're an NFL football player. You know what you should and shouldn't do out there. If you get flagged on occasion for trying to get cute and get away with something, you live with that. If you grab a receiver who's running by you because he's going to run by and you're trying to stop a score, you live with it. But, too much with the holds and the mental lapses, the offsides, false starts, all this stuff, just becoming a regular thing. And this, it kind of goes to, as much heat as Rex Ryan got for it. I used to say it all the time, like, these are grown men. Like Willie Colon averaged 10 penalties a year under Mike Tomlin, and he averaged 10 penalties a year under Rex Ryan. And one is a disciplinarian and one isn't. Like, there's only so much you can do to get a grown man to do the right thing. And to me, it's on the players, and they gotta cut it out.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. In terms of the other negatives from the defense, like I said, 15 points, other than a couple of plays here and there where I thought Screen or Roberts didn't really play too well on too many plays. But like I said, I think Roberts overall was a positive, especially for our expectations of him, that he's a 4th or 5th type of guy. But yeah, Screen didn't play too well. I think Burris, that missed tackle, Glenn, where the receiver runs like a 4-yard in, like a short in, and Burris just takes a terrible angle to the ball where we see him. I think it was versus a Raiders game. He let up a big play because he missed a tackle versus a couple of weeks ago where he let up a big tackle or a big play because he missed a tackle. I think it was maybe the Falcons game. Yeah, the Falcons game. So he's been really missing tackles, and Burris has been –
which is surprising because that wasn't a knock on him coming out of college. And it didn't seem to be an issue last year. And, he played a little over 100 reps, but he looked like he was solid in run support. And now this year, he's kind of a mess out there against the run. It's who knows if it's a fluky thing. Even if you're only playing part-time, you still got to be able to make a tackle. And he has looked bad in that role. And even in pass coverage, he's been hot and cold. He looks good for a while, then he'll allow a big play, and we've seen some games where he gives up an early catch and bounces back and doesn't allow much after that. But still, as we said earlier, consistency is a big thing, especially with these young guys.
Yeah, I think overall Burris' season has been very disappointing in terms of everything. Like I said, Screen didn't have a good game. So secondary, the young secondary, other than Roberts, who I think overall, like I said, relative to expectations, he had an okay game. But I guess the last negative for me is the play that I'm going to bring up here, Glenn, and this is Wilkerson. You're getting paid $17, $18 million a year, and I don't think at this point in the season there's really anything he could do in the upcoming 6 games for the Jets that he deserves a contract that he's going to be getting paid in 2018 and beyond. And on this play, he's a one technique, and this is what we saw. Look, like, what is he doing there? Like, we saw this a lot, and the Patriots game was the most we've seen of him just loafing like this, where there's probably at least like 10 to 15 plays. But I didn't see it as much this game, so it's not like the Patriots game or previous games where he was really bad. But still, one tackle for a guy who's getting paid $17 million. And on this play, you could clearly see he's not driving his feet. He's not trying to make a play when the combo block comes. There's no drive or effort at all really here. He might dance around a little bit. Okay, look, I'm trying to – this is what we saw about dancing. Glenn, how many times have we said he's dancing with guys? Look, this is the dancing we talk about. Like, he's like, he's trying to rip off. He's trying really hard. He's not trying at all on this play. It's just like, come on. So thoughts on Wilkerson, one tackle, Glenn, here, and just this play. Like I said, it wasn't as much as previous games, but you can't see this.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for a guy his size, even we've both been pretty critical of him. I almost expect to see a guy that big take a couple plays off because when you're 300 and some pounds, running around like that. Now, as I said earlier, I haven't had an opportunity to watch the film in full. When I do, something I'm going to keep an eye on because it hasn't been an issue in recent weeks. We have seen a lot more effort out of Mo Wilk. I know they said he had the broken toe and that's what slowed him down, but what confuses me about that is, how did his broken toe get better if he was playing every week? And then all of a sudden he goes from I'm not able to walk to all of a sudden I can run through brick walls, not through rest and recovery, but just by continually playing football on a regular basis, my broken bone got better. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Whatever the reason was, who knows? And that's the big thing. I mean, honestly, Joe, he didn't do much this week, but you look at the previous 3 weeks. If he plays that way over the rest of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if they give him that money.
I'll be pissed still. I can't do it.
I'm not saying I wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Because is this a little bit of is this Mo Wilk? Like I said, did they pull him aside and say, look, dude, if this whole no sacks through 8 games or whatever it was and 10 tackles, there's no way we're giving you that money next year. If that's what lit a fire under his ass, what's going to happen if they keep him on the roster and he gets past the time frame when they can cut him? And does he just kind of take it easy again? Because now his $17 million's guaranteed again. Because if he kept playing that way and he finishes the season with no sacks, well, how much money is he going to get in free agency? A couple million. So basically, he was looking at losing $13-14 million, and all of a sudden he starts playing hard. Like I said, I don't think broken bones heal when you continue playing football on them. So the whole thing is fishy. The effort has been there though, and again, like I said earlier with the Brian Winters thing, on the off chance they let Mo walk and he goes somewhere else and decides to play hard again, the owner's going to be looking at Mike McCagney going, how come that dude with 14 sacks isn't on our team anymore? So is McCagney going to feel that pressure of, oh, damn it, Mo closed out the season with, 8 or 9 sacks after he had none through the first 8 weeks. I can't let him go type of thing.
Yeah, but I think regardless, even if that did happen, it would be justifiable. Okay, we'll look at his first half of the season. Does he really deserve one of the highest non-QB contracts in the entire league when he's not really making that much of a difference?
I think it would be justifiable to the minority of fans. I think most fans look at the stat sheet at the end of the day. They look at highlight reels, not, they don't watch every play, every game. And they'll just say, we got to keep this guy. Look at all these sacks. And they'll use the injury thing. Oh, he was hurt. He was this, he was that. So sometimes it's the public perception that gets guys fired instead of the reality.
Yeah, and that whole highlight film, and you talked about that before with I forget what player we're talking about, but highlight films ruin people because Stephen Hill has a highlight film.
Yep.
There's really bad players. I could go out and make a highlight film of myself playing on the street and be like, wow, this guy should probably be playing in college, or anybody can make a couple of one-handed catches. Like it's a catch, like it's so. Wilkerson, the highlight tapes, all that stuff. It's just stupid. But I don't think it's justifiable. Even if right now he balls out and gets another, 10, maybe not 10, maybe like 8 sacks or gets a sack a game or whatever like that. I still think it's justifiable to give him that contract. Like I said, one of the highest non-QB contracts going into next year. There's no way to me that you could do that. So you cut him, and then you go into the offseason with $94 million in cap space, depending on who they decide to re-sign, et cetera, which, guys like Davis, they should re-sign. Kony Ealy, things like that. But Wilkerson, in terms of that play, maybe there wasn't as many plays of that. I understand you have to take plays off, but I think he only played like 45 out of 71 snaps. So he was on the field.
I didn't realize he played so few.
Yeah, I'll look it up in a second just to confirm that because I want to sound like an ass. But I think he only played like 66%, 75% of the snaps this game. If you have time on the bench, then play hard when you're on the field. And even if, he didn't do this a lot, there's not a lot of plays. Like what I do when I watch film, unless I'm really watching a player, like I'm actually working on a Quincy Enunwa breakdown. If I'm watching a player, I'll watch him every single play, but I'll watch a play generally and just say, okay, they ran this play. This is who stood out.
Snaps, 81.7%.
Oh, okay, so 81. So so almost 75. So I was a little bit wrong. So that's normal snap percentage. That's not low. That's not high. That's around normal. For a defensive lineman. But regardless, like I said, he didn't make as much of an impact, even if he wasn't trying hard. in this game where, like I said, I watched the film. Okay, wow, that guy made a nice play. Even if, like I said, I brought up a couple plays where guys might, rip a guy or swim a guy or blitz a guy or, bull rush a guy. But they didn't necessarily make the play. Where Mo Wilkerson, I didn't really notice him more than maybe once or twice this game. So he didn't make an impact, really at all, in my opinion. But moving on, Glenn, let's get to the other, I guess, negatives and positive for the special teams. Special teams, other than I think Lackland Edwards actually had two not so good punts where they rolled. They definitely took a Jets roll.
You're gonna bounce, yeah.
Yeah, but Catanzaro 1-for-1, 47-yard field goal. Whatever. Okay, you made a 47-yard field goal. That's fine. It's better than missing it. Lackland Edwards 7 punts for 47 yards. Like I said, the 2 short punts for the with the good bounces. But overall, I think he's been actually a relatively good punter this year. I would definitely put him above average. He's really pinning guys inside the 10, really pinning them inside the 10 or inside the 10 and the 20, where he's not punting it too far and giving guys touchbacks at the end.
Yeah, I know going into the game he was tied for the most punts inside the 20.
Oh, okay.
And he had at least one more during the game. So he's done a really nice job for them this year. And listen, when you're rebuilding a team, every spot that performs, it's one less thing to worry about. People say, "Oh, it's a punter. You don't even have to draft one. You just take an undrafted free agent, whatever."
This is why we drafted him.
If you exactly, there you go. You get those tough Aussie guys, bring them into punt. And well, I don't want to get too far off the topic, but seeing that number 23 there reminded me of the Dex McDougal thing. You think the Jets make a move for him?
I think they might. When is the trade deadline, Glenn? I don't know if it's.
Well, no, he got released.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm an idiot. I remember seeing that. Why not?
The Jets need a nickel corner, so
yeah, if
I'm
you're
surprised
playing
it hasn't happened already.
with a guy who knows their system already, and a guy who played really well in the preseason, where he was one of the top players when he played, making a bunch of plays, breaking on the ball nicely, playing the ball nicely in the air, all this stuff. If you can bring him in for, a very cheap contract and have him playing, even if it's not, okay, maybe he won't play over Roberts and he won't play, 40, 50 snaps a game. But when you're playing guys like last week when we played, Nelson for whatever amount of snaps, in that game you're playing Burris. I think he's better than Nelson and Burris and some of these guys that they're playing on the field right now. So if you can bring in a guy for a cheap contract who's still young and healthy, at least at this point healthy, he doesn't have the best track record in terms of health over his career, but why not bring him in for a cheap contract? So I would agree to do that too. And Glenn, I just wanted to bring this up, just give the punters some love.
That's a big play. That is a really big play.
Yeah, punt returner, obviously, he gets some nice blocks. The Jets don't take the best angles, but overall, just a pretty nice punt return. Lackland Edwards gives some punter love, comes up, and even with a blocker coming in his face, he doesn't panic, and he takes out his legs and saves the touchdown here. So really big play from Edwards here. So I had to point it out. We have to give punters love too when they make a good play, or even a kicker. Like if Catanzaro drilled that 57-yard kick, and we had the video portion of this, we'd probably bring up that play. You know what? He deserves to be on the
absolutely. Hey, look, these guys. I was talking earlier about how McLendon doesn't get any love because he doesn't get a ton of sacks. But even worse than that, punters no one talks about them. Like Rich Eisen says, right? Punters are people too.
Yeah, and we saw there's multiple games. What was that, 2015, where we thought that Quigley was directly the result of some losses, or at least played a big part. And maybe
no one worries about the punter until you have a really bad one, and then it's a big deal, like the long snapper. No one knows who he is until he stinks, and then everybody says, why didn't we cut this guy? Like 10 minutes ago, he didn't know his name. Now all of a sudden you want him cut.
Yeah, exactly. So, Glenn, any other topics that you want to discuss? I'm going to try to find any other topics other than really Curley being out and then Hansen's playing 48 snaps. That's obviously, he's taking over the role of that third strength type of guy.
Little congrats to him, his first 2 NFL catches.
Trace, Glenn.
Yeah, he had targeted by McCown. He didn't God, it's so hard to fathom. We've laughed and probably cried about it a few years ago when the Jets took those 3 receivers and didn't get a single catch all year with 3 rookie receivers. Every time I see a rookie get 1 catch, I'm like, that dude just outperformed an entire rookie draft class. So yeah, nice job here by Hansen. good concentration, going to the ground, gets his hands underneath the ball and holds on.
Yeah.
So nice job by him, and good to see him get some. It's a shame about Ardarius Stewart. You know, we've been talking so much about how it would be nice to see him get increased reps and increased targets, and then the day before the game, he tweaks his groin. So that's a shame for him, but nice to see Hansen step up and make a couple grabs.
Yeah, and that's the thing with this, Glenn, is that I would like to see Stewart get more reps. Obviously, I guess the Jets are more comfortable with Hansen and whatever their game plan may be, that they want to play him more than Stewart, and they feel that Hansen can do what they want better on here. It's just a comeback, and he's making a diving catch, nice concentration, like you said. I'm just bringing it up as a background. I'm not really wanting to discuss it, but it's it's a shame that Stewart, because we thought that Stewart was going to be the guy who's going to play more. Hansen had to develop a little bit more, and Stewart's been averaging, I would say, even with Curley in, Curley out, he's been averaging around 10 snaps, if not less, per game. So the fact that
he's right, I want to say he was right around 30% of the snaps for the season when he was healthy, and even that seemed a little bit high. I was surprised when I looked that up. But even when he's playing, he's not getting targeted a whole lot. On that 30%, you have to figure how many of those are run plays, how many actual pass plays is he on the field for. So he hasn't been seeing the ball. But, again, a lot of us hoped he would this week or the next few weeks with Curley out. But now who knows how slowed he's going to be. He'll obviously have some time to recover with the bye, and hopefully he'll be back. And it'd be nice to see him and Hansen get more involved in this offense, because got to develop some of these young guys because they are getting 2 new quarterbacks this offseason. I don't know who they are, but they are getting 2.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah. So
or three.
Jeez, Glenn. Well, actually, we'll get into that, because we have a Twitter,
all of them.
a Twitter,
all the quarterbacks.
We have a Twitter question to get into in a little bit, but a little bit disappointed that Ardarius Stewart isn't seeing the field more. And we saw actually last game against the Bills, he was used on crack blocks and things like that when he was in the game. So he's used more as a blocker. But I would like to see him targeted a little bit more, maybe on more some jet sweeps, whatever it may be. Now, Glenn, just 2 other things. I don't really like the fact that McGuire played 36 snaps. I believe Powell was at 33. So they played about even. I don't really like that, because while I do like McGuire, I like his explosiveness, I think Powell's still the better player as of right now. If I had to pick one guy to break a run for 10 yards, it would be definitely Powell over McGuire, while I do like him, like I said. And then Ealy, the fact that he played 28 out of 71 snaps, I think he needs to get his snap increase too. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't mind the split with the backs. I like an even split because, I want to see McGuire brought along and developed, and we both know that everybody knows that Bilal Powell has had some durability issues. So that doesn't bother me a whole lot. Bilal Powell clearly is the better running back. But again, if this is a rebuild and we're screaming for development of young guys, I'm fine with that. Ealy should be playing more. Ealy should be getting re-signed is what Ealy should be doing.
Same with Jenkins and Davis right now.
And you know what, though? The thing that I wonder, especially in the case of Austin Seferian Jenkins, even more so than Ealy, and, I mentioned this earlier with Ian and Rich, is that
your second show, the show that you cheat on me with.
But no, we were saying that extended. We don't know if either side has reached out to the other to try to rework a deal.
Yeah, obviously.
It could be a situation where, listen, Austin Seferian Jenkins has been a very good player, but this is really his first good season. Are they looking for elite money? Or the Jets, have they agreed on a number and the Jets have just said, look, we just want to see that you can stay healthy for a full year and continue playing this way, and then we'll give you the sign as soon as the season ends. Even,
Glenn, you're
week 17.
Oh, sorry, you're lagging a little bit there. We've actually been pretty good on lag. You're lagging a little bit there. But no, exactly, and that's something like we don't know. Hopefully, you would hope that the Jets, did reach out to him. But if he's saying, okay, well, I want $8 million a year, then we're not going to re-sign him. But so I'll rephrase what I was saying. The Jets should reach out to them at least. Yes.
And that's the thing. It's one of those things where as fans you're dying to know like what's going on, and even if that question is posed to Mike McCagnon if and when he meets with the media, it's something he may not answer. He probably won't answer because everyone keeps everything in house and under wraps. But I would be really surprised if if a GM has two young guys playing at this type of level, and a rebuild. These are the perfect type of guys you want. Guys that have worked through their developmental period and are playing at a high level. Get them locked up long term, and that's two fewer holes to worry about as you head toward the draft and free agency.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I completely agree with you. And we want these type of guys. DeMario Davis is a good leader. Austin Seferian-Jenkins has seemed like a pretty good leader. Ealy, we haven't really heard much from, which is fun. Now, Glenn, let's get to some Twitter questions, and we'll get to the games, and then we'll move on, and we'll end the show. So, David O'Rourke, I don't know. I know you know him. He's at David NYJ UK on Twitter. He says, and you can have the first shot to answer these. If McCown keeps
David, regular.
Yeah, oh definitely. We appreciate David. He always is tweeting us and telling us that he enjoyed the show, why he did, or et cetera, questions. So we enjoy David and we enjoy him as a listener. But he says, if McCown keeps playing to the current standard until the end of the season, do we keep him for 2018? We still draft a quarterback, but do we keep Petty, a QB who most believe to be a good backup QB, or Hack, who most aren't sure of yet, as our third quarterback?
Well, I mean, I want to say that as far as Hack and Petty go, more Petty than Hack, that you'd like to see their development, see them come along. But if we're going to have any trust in Todd Bowles and this staff, then you would have to believe they're completely incompetent and unable to identify a football.
Yeah, at least Hack is.
Yeah, because otherwise, why would you not play them at this point? Josh McCown, yes, he has done a nice job. He's been better than a lot of people thought he would be. He's the biggest thing. He stayed healthy. Nobody expected that.
So far.
My thought was, even now, my thought was, well, you start him, whether or not he plays good or not won't really matter because by week 4 or 5, he's going to be out for the year. He stayed healthy, but I think would I bring back Josh McCown? Listen, I'm always in favor of bringing in a quality veteran backup, and McCown fits that description. I'd have no problem bringing back Josh McCown. And it's not as if he's a guy. He's older, but he's still got enough zip on the ball that he can throw it. It's not like you're talking about a Ryan Fitzpatrick or Mark Brunell late in his career when it was like a shot put. So absolutely fine with bringing McCown back as a backup. And Petty, if you just don't think he can play, and we're now we've heard multiple reports over the last several months that teams have contacted the Jets in an effort to acquire him, then trade him. If you don't think he can play and someone else does, then let them have him and get yourself a draft pick. And Christian Hackenberg, if he's not, here's the way I look at it. I don't think he'll be any good. But at the same time, I've said, and I wrote an article a couple months ago or a few weeks ago, whatever it was, saying that I hope this season that they or next season get more quarterbacks and carry 4 again. I don't care. Carry quarterbacks, acquire quarterbacks, keep them around, develop them. If you want to keep Hack around as your 4th quarterback because he's cheap and it'll be his 2nd year in the system, I can live with that. But the main thing is, there's got to be at least 2 new guys in here next year. Trade Petty if you hate his guts. Keep Hack if you think he might turn into something. Bring McCown back as a backup. That's fine. But then go and get a Cousins or a Smith or a Bridgewater and draft somebody.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with that too. We had that whole 4 quarterbacks debate. Like people were acting like the 53rd guy of the team was really going to make a huge impact. Like, would you notice if Nelson wasn't on this team right now? Or
exactly.
A backup offensive, like obviously if there's injuries, then you're gonna have to sign somebody and cut somebody else. But normal situation, you're not going to see the 50th guy, the 51st guy. So if you want to keep 4 quarterbacks, you can do that instead of saying, oh, well, you can't keep 4 quarterbacks. We got to cut one, even if he has some chance. But I think Hackenberg's the first to go. I think Petty, maybe he could be a good backup. I'm not saying he is right now, but at least the 3rd stringer, I think he's capable of being on a team where Hackenberg might end up out of the NFL at some point. We'll see. But it depends too, like on who they bring in. Okay, well, if you bring in a guy, let's say like Bradford, he gets released. They just want to bring him in, and you want a guy in McCown who's reliable as a backup, even as a spot starter. for a little bit more money, then yeah, you know what, bring back McCown after we're going to bring in, let's say, a Kirk Cousins or a guy like Tyrod who doesn't really have an extensive injury history, and you want to sign a TJ Yates type of backup quarterback who's not a great backup but not a terrible one, but McCown is more capable for less money, then yeah, do that too. We'll see what happens. It all depends on how many quarterbacks they're signing or drafting, but it depends because the quarterback market is relatively big in terms of, okay, well, it might be Cousins, it might be Tyrod, definitely Tyrod as at this point, Bradford maybe. So we'll see, but I think Heck's the first to go. McCown, if he's coming back on a relatively cheap deal, then you can bring him back depending on what free agent you get, what quarterback in the draft you get, et cetera. But another question, Glenn, from Andrew Pergiovanni, whatever, Pergiovanni. That's how I'm saying it. Pergiovanni. That's your name to me now. That's how I'm saying it. He said, "Are we ready for Petty yet?" ? Your thoughts on the need to start developing Petty in this new offense, especially given that he's shown some aptitude in August.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of people are saying it. I wrote an article on it the other day. I understand Todd Bowles is, we got to win games now and all that stuff. I think to me, the most interesting or the most important aspect here, and I think we talked about it earlier in the year, and again, it's one of the many, many things we don't know. We don't have access. We're not in the room. But I would love to know what ownership has told Todd Bowles. If Todd Bowles has been told that he will be retained if the team continues to show high effort and the young guys show improvement, then to me, there is no reason Bryce Petty shouldn't be playing right now. There is none. Bryce Petty should be under center if all you've been told is keep him playing hard and keep him getting better. Now, if he's been told nothing and he's just going to assume, which every head coach should, that he'll be fired if he doesn't produce enough wins, then I kind of get it. I kind of understand that he sticks with the guy he trusts more because that type of approach from ownership puts the head coach in a position where his main concern has to be this season. Whether the fans like it or not, we want to, we know this team's not going anywhere, so we want the long-term approach. But Todd Bowles is taking the short-term approach. So, you would believe he has been given maybe not assurances, but how often does an owner come out and say publicly this year isn't about wins and losses? And Woody Johnson said that. So he's been given a free pass publicly, at least, to miss the playoffs and only win a few games. But he's still playing it like he's coaching for his job. So I don't know which one it is, but if he's been told to, as I said, keep him playing hard, let's see these guys grow. If that's his only mandate and he's still sticking with Josh McCown, that's completely inexcusable, and we need to see Bryce Petty.
Yeah, and Glenn, there's not really much more I can add to that. And that's the same thing that we talked about before with Elijah McGuire. Now, okay, if you're trying to develop guys, yeah, we want to see Elijah McGuire. The same reps as Petty, but if you want to, or not Petty, Powell. But if you want to win the game, okay, Powell should see more reps. But obviously, we're on the side where we want to see these guys develop, so we're fine with McGuire getting those reps. And what you said about Bowles and his insurances is definitely the biggest variable, at least to me. And that's the same thing with the quarterback situation. Now, I want to see Petty developed. I want to see him in this offense. But at the same time, if Bowles feels like he's fighting for his job, then I understand why he's playing McCown, because the Jets, right now with 6 losses, okay, they can run the rest of the season, get 6 wins, go 10-6 and make the playoffs. So I understand that. It depends on the insurances he was given or not given by the coaching staff. So we don't really know. But yeah, I guess for me and Glenn, the answer is we are ready for Petty, but I understand why the coach's staff is not going to him, depending on a couple different things, development, whatever it may be. Now, one more, Glenn, and we'll get to the games. Same guy. He snuck in 2 questions. Andrew Pergiovanni. That's your name. I don't care if you pronounce it differently. That's how you pronounce it now. So he said, not to cover for Bowles, but is there any chance that Bowles, Morton, and Bates see how horrible the O-line is and would rather Petty Hack not, 1, be outwardly judged by the failure of Johnson, Carpenter, and company, so the offensive line, and 2, develop, air quotes, happy feet a la Sanchez, hashtag ready for Petty?
I think that, I think we've seen in the past with other young quarterbacks, if you put a guy behind a bad offensive line, I think Petty and Hackenberg, while neither guy is Michael Vick, Both of them are athletic enough that I think you can use them on rollouts. You can use play action. You can use misdirection. You can use some quick screens to slow down opposing teams' pass rushes, which that was another thing I meant to bring up about this past week. As killed as Josh McCown was getting, I would have liked to see a little bit more out of the screen game to try to slow things down a little bit from the defense. But there are things you can do. I mean, there's not going to be a perfect situation when the offensive line is this bad. But if you're, go max protection, use a lot of rollouts, use a lot of play action, things to keep the defense honest. And even if those things don't work as well as you would like, even behind a bad offensive line, you play a guy for 5 or 6 games, he's going to have enough opportunities to make clean throws that you're going to get an idea as to whether or not he's any good. And again, if you have this much doubt in Bryce Petty, but other teams have some faith in him, then put him out there to showcase him and drive up the price a little bit. We hear the teams are interested, but that doesn't mean they offered anything more than a conditional 7th rounder. But we've seen what happens when quarterbacks have a few good games in this league. If Bryce Petty comes out and he plays well for the final 4 or 5 games of the year, maybe you get a mid-round pick for him if you don't like him. So why not?
It's funny that is, if in the same situation Petty played the same way he's been playing, if he was on the Patriots right now, he'd probably get like a 4th round pick for Petty. But now we're like talking about a conditional 7th because he's on the Jets. But yeah, like you said too, like I'm surprised McCown hasn't got injured yet at this point in the season because how bad the offensive line has been. But yeah, I understand. And even like talking about like taking advantage of defense's aggressiveness, like you said, rollouts or screens or trap blocks, whatever you want to do to take advantage of that. Penetrating up the field and, with a trap block, taking yourself out of the play at times, depending. So, yeah, I guess that's it. I don't really have much to add to that. But, Glenn, we'll get into the games. The Jets don't have a game, so I had to pick 5 games. So we'll get through this quickly so you could get on to bed. So it's like 1:30 in the morning for you. Sorry.
I actually got more homework tonight, so tonight's not right to bed. I'm going to be up for a few more hours. But
geez. Okay, we'll move. Yeah, we'll move a little bit quicker. Shouldn't have made this like 2.5 hours. But, okay, so last week we both went 3-2. We both picked the Jets, who lost 15-10 to the Bucs. We both picked the Saints, who destroyed the Bills 47-10. We both
8,000 yards rushing they had.
Yeah.
8,000.
Yeah, we both picked the Titans, who beat the Bengals 24-20. I picked the Falcons 27, who beat the Cowboys 27-7. You picked the Cowboys. I picked the Giants. You picked the 49ers. The 49ers beat the Giants 31-21. Just beyond, the Giants are beyond bad right now.
Did the Giants score 21 points?
They scored 21 points. Yeah.
Go Giants. Well, good job.
Yeah, against the 49ers, who were 0-9 at that point. Or sorry, 0-9. So some people who I'll say 0-9. I'm like, oh, it's 0. 0 is a number. Nobody's 0-9. I'm like,
you should stop talking to those people.
I hate you. Like there's some words I say wrong. I say ask. Like people, I don't. It's ask, but I'll say axe. And they're like, oh, axe. Like you're gonna axe me. I'm like, oh, you're so funny. Like so stupid. Okay, but regardless. Okay, so I went 3-2. You went 3-2. So I'm 28-17. You're 27-18. So I'm only a game up on you. At this point. So this week, let's go Thursday night. The 6-3 Titans at the 7-2 Steelers.
Man, the Steelers and Titans.
Yeah,
that could be a good one. You know what though? I tend to lean. I like Tennessee. I think they could win that one.
But the home team.
I tend to on a Thursday night game. I tend to lean toward the home team.
Yeah, we're both going with the Steelers here because, like you said, like many games, if it's like a wash type of thing where I think they're both like as talented, etc. I'm gonna go with the home team, especially on a Thursday night.
Especially home on a Thursday, traveling in a short week.
Yeah, so I'm gonna agree with that. We're both gonna pick the Steelers Thursday night. Next game, this is a good game, Glenn. Sunday at 1, the 7-2 Rams at the 7-2 Vikings.
I like the Rams a lot, man. I'm not gonna say they're gonna win the Super Bowl, but when they had that early blowout in week 1 or 2, and I thought, man, if Goff pretty easy shots. I almost went up and put 20 pounds on the Rams to win it. Then they won the Rams. I really like them right now.
Yeah, this is hard for me because I know right here, if I don't pick the Vikings, we're going to pick all the same games, I think. I'm doing it anyway. I'm doing it for the sake of my record. Just because the Vikings –
Hey, go with who you like, man.
Listen, and And the thing about it is, like, if the Vikings had Bridgewater or even Bradford, I would probably pick them at this point. And I know that Keenum's been playing well, but it's still Keenum, and he's going to drop back down to earth, even though I know
When's
he's been
Bridgewater?
playing.
When are they saying he's going to be ready?
I don't know, because I thought he was going to play last week, but then he didn't play last week.
That's what I thought.
But I don't know. Even Bridgewater, though, he's been out for, a year and a half. Is he really going to be that crisp his first game back? Probably not. So I'm gonna pick the Rams as well. The Rams are probably the biggest surprise team this year.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. The fact that the Vikings are 7-2 with mostly Keenum is surprising. I think the Eagles have been surprising, but they were kind of teeter-tottering on being a very good team. So we're both picking the Rams. Sunday at 1 o'clock, 4-5 Redskins. They're not a great game. At the 7-2 Saints. Oh, you're really struggling with this one, right?
I want to pick an upset somewhere, but I'm not picking it there. The Saints are playing too well.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to pick an upset here, Glenn. Yeah, I'm picking the Saints. I don't think there's any the Redskins are so wishy-washy. They're really inconsistent. I'm really surprised at how bad Terrell Pryor has been for them. He's a nobody right now, which is crazy.
He's a non-factor. Did you hear Cleveland tried to trade for him too?
Really?
I saw that blurb the other day that came out that it said, here's more of the Browns being the Browns. Like 5 months after they didn't sign a guy that was already on their team, they tried to trade for him.
Well, yeah, it was weird because the Redskins needed a vertical threat, and that's what he is. So he's not effective there at all. But Glenn, really quick, did you hear about the Browns and that trade deadline thing? How they didn't get in right trade, they didn't get in the paperwork on time. You're an NFL organization. I'm
telling you, man. Those poor fans. I feel bad for Browns fans, but I am thankful for the Browns' existence because it makes me feel a lot better because it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, exactly. To not get in the paperwork, to not even send the right trade. It's okay. So, Glenn, we're trading A for B, right? Okay. I'm gonna submit it to the league office, and it's A for Z. It's what are you doing?
And I'll submit. What time's it due by 5? I'll send it 6:30. I got stuff. Yeah. They said apparently they were celebrating the trade at the time they should have been sending the paperwork, so it got in late.
And the thing, really quick, we'll get to the rest of the games. So the thing is, it's not okay, the deadline's at 4 o'clock, so I need to have the paperwork into the league by 3:59, or it's not a deal. For the NFL, really, all you need is to tell them the framework. Okay, we're both agreeing to this trade for Terrell Pryor for a 7th, whatever it is. They just have to agree in principle. That's it. So that's beyond bad. Next game, Sunday night, 8:30. The 8-1 Eagles at the 5-4 Cowboys. Go ahead, Glenn. Pick the upset here.
At the 5-4 Cowboys?
At the 5-4 Cowboys.
I'm not picking that upset. I can see it happening just because those division games, man. How many times do you see it? Some team will be a juggernaut. They'll be 10-1, and then they'll play someone in their division that's 3-7, 3-8, and the 3-8 team, just because the familiarity, the rivalry. You know what I mean? All that being said, I'm taking Philly.
Yeah, exactly. And then funny, I think 2 really good examples of that are the Jets versus the Patriots in past years, and I think another good example. Yeah, and another one is the Seahawks when they were really good, and the Rams.
Yeah.
When they played in St. Louis, they were just terrible. But
they matched up well. They knew them. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on. So we're picking all the same games here. Actually, maybe not. This might be your upset. Monday night.
And I think the Cowboys just gave up another sack, actually.
Yeah. Well, they don't have Zeke, too. That really hurt their offense to score 7 points last week against now I'm forgetting who they played. But regardless, give 7
Atlanta.
points. 7 points. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's the game we picked. We picked it. I'm just forgetting stuff. Next game, Monday night, 5-4 Falcons at the 6-3 Seahawks.
Give me the Falcons with Richard Sherman out.
Oh, damn, I forgot. But they signed Byron Maxwell. He's a very good corner.
He's not Richard Sherman.
Oh, man. You know what?
And this is his 3rd team in 3 years. He's not that good.
I'm going to take the Seahawks here just because I want to pick a different game. I was going to anyway. I forgot about it. But, yeah, this scares me because the Falcons are looking like they're back on track from last week. So we'll see. But we appreciate everybody for listening. Hopefully leave a review. If you're not going to leave a review, then we don't like you as much as we possibly could. At least I don't. I don't know what Glenn thinks, but just leave a review. It takes literally 5 minutes. So we'd appreciate that. We'll be back next week, Wednesday, most likely at 6. It's going to change most likely to 6 every single week. But we'll notify everybody, but definitely Wednesday night. Like I said, we appreciate you for listening, and we shall be back.